bunch of nerds sit and ramble about video games.
Okay, I hear
Is this from the cat?
No.
Because he
I mean,
was just in here?
I held him, but that was from my hair.
Okay. Yeah, I started recording.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome.
I was saying that was disgusting. It was funny because that was right before we started. Like, the second before you started.
So I'm going to hopefully sound mind because I just woke up earlier, but welcome to the VidGames podcast. Continuing the trend of fighting game episodes, today we're going to talk about Tekken. So we were... I know we just kind of jumped right into this, but do you want to start over?
No, it's fine. Let's keep going. Let's keep going with it.
We could do multiple takes. It's whatever.
It's whatever. It's fine.
But okay, so this is actually one we've been wanting to do for a while, but we kind of put it off because I needed to finish the story mode in Tekken 7, so that way we can properly talk near the end of this episode about like what can come next for the series. But
yeah, because as of this recording, it was like what 2 days ago was when we played through it.
I think it was. It was pretty. Yeah, it was like right at the start of the new year, so we jumped right into that because Mom wanted to watch because our mom is a pretty big Tekken fan as well. But
seeing your reactions and stuff was funny.
yeah, she watched us play through the story mode, because you wanted to hear my thoughts on it and everything, and we'll of course talk about it. It'll pop up here and there until we actually get to talking about Tekken 7 specifically, but unlike other episodes, well, mainly like the last ones with Smash Brothers, where there's only 5 games in that series, so it was pretty easy to go over. We all had like really, really specific memories with each game for the most part. This one we're just gonna kind of jump around a little bit because they're just so much the same with differences, really just, ranging in the character roster, kind of.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, in our Lucky's Tale Let's Play, there was that episode where we were just talking about Tekken, and we were talking about how weird the lore had gotten up to 7.
Yeah.
So say, like, we're going to probably repeat some of that stuff from that, which is like, it's still relevant even now, so.
There was just a little smidgen of Tekken talk in the Mortal Kombat episode of the podcast with Wes, because I brought up some things here and there. And one of the things I think I said was that the story, while ridiculous as shit, is like kind of one of the more believable fighting game storylines that I've ever witnessed, at least personally, because how Wes had said before, like, okay, well, at the very start of the fighting game, era with, a lot of like Street Fighter and stuff, and of course with Mortal Kombat, they all started with tournaments. A lot of them started, specifically, I think Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat started to kind of move away from the tournament kind of aspect of it and start branching out into more cinematic, deeper storylines. Tekken just kind of rode its own wave throughout the course of the series and kind of did its own thing with the tournaments, because each one is after a tournament. So whenever you think it's Tekken 7, it's the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7 in universe.
That's how the announcer always says it too. They always say, like, in each of the games, they go, "Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament number."
Yeah, that started with 4.
Yeah,
Tekken 4 was the first to do that. Tekken 4 was the first for a lot of stuff, actually. It was the start of certain people's movesets changing and voices changing with Yoshimitsu. Fucking, it's my dude right there. You got get ready for the next battle started in Tekken 5. Before was the one that started, the announcer saying, "Welcome to the King of Iron Fist Tournament" at the character select screen. The semi, quote unquote, darker kind of tone started in 4, sort of. Like the way the path for the overarching storyline was really going to go through kind of started in 4. Because if Tekken's 1 through 3 were like super arcadey, and like you can just, especially the first 2 games, the third one, while very arcadey, still does plant the seeds that will later grow by the time of Tekken 4 in terms of story. So introducing Jin and everything, and one more character with the devil gene inside him, one more fucking family member of the Mishima Kazama bloodline.
I Tekken 3, as far back as I can remember, I distinctly remember seeing I remember seeing the intro of Tekken 3 and then also just playing the game.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember, did we have 1 and 2 then?
We had 2. Okay, well, depending on when you started playing.
I was like, because I remember 3, 4, and Tag. Those were those are the earliest Tekkens that I can remember, because then afterwards we had 5, and then it was everything else afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because to kind of give our little origin story with Tekken here, I grew up with Tekken when I was pretty damn small. It was before you were born, that's for sure. So that was the late 90s. Same thing, like I've said before, always Crash, Spyro, Pac-Man World, Tekken was always there as well. So arguably Tekken was my first it was my first T-rated series, and I don't mean M for mature when I say this, but it was my first quote unquote mature series, because while it still looked cartoony and blocky and stuff, it had these deeper storylines. It talked about devils and magic and power and stuff and whatever. Mm-hmm. So had no other game I was playing at the time had that.
Say some more adult tones.
For what it's worth, because it's PS1 era, so everything's silly as shit and goofy. But it wasn't until Tag and especially 4 for canonical things that started to go that kind of more darker air quotes routes, because it never reaches Mortal Kombat or whatever else levels of we're dark and gritty, but it does try to take itself seriously when it knows it can.
Like I say, it has those kind of tones, but it doesn't go in that direction.
Yeah.
I guess that's why people don't necessarily like 4, or they say that 4 is the black sheep of the Tekken series.
They say that because of that console generation change, and they say it because it was the start of, again, certain fan favorites changing up their fighting style for story purposes. It was the first to introduce, I don't know what it's called in fighting game terms, but getting damage off the wall when you hit up against the wall.
Wall damage?
Yeah. So I guess it's just that that's that simple, but of a term. But yeah, so doing things. I think they've dialed it back since then. But yeah, if you can just get a dude off the wall and just corner them and start knocking the shit out of them, then yeah, you can pretty much choose a fight. So I've done that. I've done it with story mode, and that's how it's pretty easy in that game in particular, or specifically to
I just use Paul's Phoenix Smasher.
Do arcade mode.
It just does a lot of damage, and it's okay. I can just do this now, I guess.
Yeah, I love, in any fighting game, I love combo-centric characters. Even if I don't know combo outputs, and I'm not spending too much time looking at the move list, I still...
doing those, string combos?
Can find good combos and really just go for it.
Every time, and this doesn't just apply to Tekken, it goes to any fighting game, ever. Whenever there's big ass combo strings and stuff, I don't know how you can input all that stuff fast to do all of that stuff. You click on it to preview it, and it shows, and it even has the display to show bam bam bam, how it's being pressed.
They go
But it's I think it's just it just looks tough, but I guess just when you put enough practice into it, then it's easy, I guess.
There are probably small little grace periods for each input, so that way you don't have to I have to put them in real fast,
because that's what most of the other moves feel like too. Is sometimes when you see something go like that, it's oh, okay.
It goes that fast.
It goes that fast, so sometimes you just kind of end up spamming it a little bit. So it's
maybe that's just how it shows it to you, but that's not actually how fast they expect you to input it.
Oh no, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes is it
really?
Sometimes. It just depends. It depends on the character, and also depends on the game you're playing, really. Because there are some where it's like that, where it's more lenient, but then there are some where it's no.
Well, I was gonna say for Tekken specifically, it never felt like that. Because whether or not you're mashing buttons or certain combos, I've never for any combos I try to go for, there were a couple I knew with Eddie and stuff like that. It's not very hard to drop a combo. Or, wait, is that... Or it's not easy to drop a combo. I don't know what I'm saying. But, I feel there is a grace period for doing certain things like that with different characters in Tekken specifically.
I mean, I started trying to learn how to do combos with Lucky Chloe. And it's like, I took the time to, or at least since Tekken 7, I've started to take time to, whenever I revisit any of the other games, just to go through a character's move list that I really like, and I'm like, okay, so what can they actually do and stuff like that. And then putting it in practice after seeing it, and then it's like, okay, then I try it like this, and if I can get it, then it's like, all right, cool, I know how to do that now. Probably not gonna use it, but at least I know how to do it.
Yeah, I would just spend sometimes hours as a kid just looking at the move list.
Yeah,
watching the previews.
Yeah, because then other than that, before 7 came along, when I tried to start learning how to do other moves, I would just press buttons. And I've said that in our 7 verses. But it's like, that's the honest to God truth. I mostly just press buttons, and I just kind of mash stuff, and I'm just like.
And then if you watch our versus videos on Tekken, you see that he wins a lot of the time.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I'm not trying to do fancy shit, because I really didn't know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like,
like with me again, Yoshimitsu's my guy. So like, the smaller inputs are the ones I'm starting to know more and more, because for the most part, up until like again 6 onward, his moveset's been pretty consistent. So even also that stretches somewhat to Soul Calibur for Yoshimitsu in particular as well.
Yeah, because I'll say it, sometimes you kick my ass as Yoshimitsu.
Because not only have I played as him the longest, but like again, I know those smaller inputs, so I don't know his 10 strings or anything like that, but I do know just certain combination inputs, certain little moves here and there that I can do to throw you off.
Yeah, because sometimes I've even seen some moves where it's like, I didn't know that existed. What the hell?
Yeah, like I'm starting to know more moves that I didn't know how to exactly pull off before, but that's not to say I'm good. I'm ready for Evo or anything.
I was gonna say, like,
not by a long shot. We are casual as fuck.
Like, those people are insane.
They learn.
They're insane.
The time it took me to just play casually throughout my life, 20 years, they've spent that same amount of time actually learning the intricacies, chip damage, everything that you hear. Fighting game terms and everything, like, they know it, they've learned it, that's the time they took to get to where they are now. And I just never was that, because I always played casually. Plus, I never had friends around who actually knew how to play Tekken, cared to play Tekken. Because again, like, Wes is more of a Mortal Kombat guy, Chase doesn't like fighting games, only Smash Brothers. Traditional fighting games like Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, he doesn't really care much for. I don't think Jerry's ever really played too many fighting games. If he has, it's stuff like, I don't know, maybe like Arena Fighters, like Power Stone, or he'd probably like a Pokken Tournament, probably. If, again, I had to guess, because I've never really played many fighting games with him. I know we talked about, one of the first things we did on YouTube was, on West Side Studios, when we did a Trash Talk, we talked about Mortal Kombat versus DC. But, so that required us to play a little bit of it before we talked about it. But yeah, in terms of Tekken, I never really had, and those that I did play against, like the Pinbusters guys, Michael and Javier and them, I would pretty much win, because I was the only one who played that often at the time. But I don't know if I specified it earlier when I said that I grew up with Tekken in the late 90s. I played Tekken 2 first. That was my first Tekken game, and then I went on to 3. So if you've ever seen like Cadicris's videos on Tekken, he and I had a very similar, not that he knows or I know him in person, but I'm just saying, like, we have a very similar childhood in terms of Tekken, because he started with 2, went to 3, eventually then found and went back to 1, and that was the same exact thing that I did, because somehow it didn't dawn on me as a small child that there was a Tekken 1 before Tekken 2, so I never seen it around, by that point. When I was starting to become aware that video games were a thing you can buy in stores and stuff, because again, I'm talking now as a little kid, I had no idea there was a Tekken 1. So eventually I ended up finding out that was the case, and I was like, I want to try it out. And when I did, I was like, this is stiff. This is
stiff as fuck.
This is early indeed. Like, but you see the progression. Tekken 1 ran so Tekken, or crawled, or what? Walked so Tekken, crawled. It crawled so Tekken 2 could walk. Tekken 2 walked so Tekken 3 could run, and the rest is history from there. But
I'm sure that goes for a lot of franchises too, but with Tekken,
sure.
it definitely shows.
Well, we were just playing not too long ago because we went to our little local game shop place and it already went up. You saw the King Kong video, the one-off that we did with Wes. The three of us, me, Vic, and Wes, went to our place and bought some games. We rebought Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the PS1 because that was my introduction to Mortal Kombat.
And it was a trip too playing it again because I
hadn't played it in so long.
I would say I haven't
it was
played
fucking
it so long.
dope. But but it's really primitive because it's still the rotoscope sprites of the real actors and stuff like that. So like,
but it was still fun. It was still fun.
That's classic Mortal Kombat.
At the very least, it was very fun playing with someone. Because I mean, I'm.
Oh yeah, the CPUs. Yeah, the CPUs are butt fuckingly hard.
Even on the easiest difficulty.
Yeah, there's still a challenge.
Like,
because it was an arcade game first. So what did they
Yes.
do? They made them really fucking hard so you can waste your quarters away. Same thing with Tekken 1. Hey, Hachi is a motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
I
sure.
remember because again, place yourself in my shoes. You're a little kid. You just got the PS1. You're playing Tekken 2. Come up across Kazuya, and he's already a son of a bitch. And then you have to fight Devil, and it was like the craziest fucking shit because it's got the blackened background with the mirror thing, and it was so fucking cool. But it was hard as shit. But it was still doable because I would beat him with multiple characters and unlock multiple characters, and that harkens back to what we were talking about in Smash Brothers about the joy and the intricacies of having to learn how to unlock characters back in the day in fighting games. That was my first introduction to doing that. You fucking play as whoever because it doesn't really matter who you play as. I think when you first start off the console version of Tekken, like the earliest Tekkens, Tekken 2, let's just say specifically, if you beat Devil with a character, I'm sure the first character you unlock is probably Kuma. So you have like your main roster, and the music's going, and I fucking love that music, and you're trying to choose a character, and then you beat arcade mode with one character when you're first starting fresh, go back in because you had so much fun you want to try again, out of just genuine curiosity, because you're like, I want to have some more fun. And I'm the only one playing, so, I'll do some more fights like I just did. Go back into that same mode, you see the fucking arrows on the screen, and you go, what? And then you click over, and the character, like, little icons don't even shift. It's just like, extra character, Kuma, and it's like, who the fuck? So it was so cool.
Yeah, that thing disappears off to the side where you went, and then there it is, a character that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, your little cursor disappears.
Yeah, and it's just like
all the secret characters are on a fucking layer you can't even see. I love it so much. That shit's so mysterious, because Caddy said that too. He was like, that Tekken 2 was like a very like kind of mysterious type of game to the point where it can kind of be a little bit off-putting when you first play it as a kid because it just gives off this particular type of vibe. I definitely understood what he meant by that because I'm like, yeah, fucking I was like 3, 4 playing Tekken 2. I know that feeling. But going back to Tekken 1 after that, I was like, yeah, this feels different. Heihachi sucks ass because they just made him way too hard. It's like, Jesus. But it's just learning how to play the game, I guess. And because it was just lifted off the arcade version, just made to, port over to home consoles, like, they didn't really scale back the difficulty. They just made it to where it's like, okay, just do it. Just learn how to do it. Only, like, I think certain characters... Does it go that only certain characters can sidestep in Tekken 1, and then they made more be able to in Tekken 2, but not everyone, and then everyone can in Tekken 3? Or was there absolutely no sidestepping in Tekken 1, some could do it in Tekken 2, and then everyone could do it in Tekken 3? Because I feel like the latter is what the deal was, but I don't remember.
I wouldn't know because, again, all I really know are the early... The PS2 games and then 3.
I was really hoping for, in Smash Brothers when they added Kazuya, is for them to give him his goddamn Tekken 1 outfit.
His Tekken 1, that would have been so cool.
That'd have been the funniest, coolest shit.
I would have fucking loved it. I would have been like, yes, I appreciate that.
Because obviously the game where Kazuya really shines as a villain is in 2. That's where everything in his inclusion in Smash Brothers is lifted, for the most part. The majority, the nostalgic base of, from the theme song, which we recognize in our reaction video on Destination Mark, to some of his outfits, mainly Tekken 2.
I was gonna say when we thought it was Heihachi, but then it was actually Kazuya. That shit was just like, my god, because we heard the song, we were like, oh shit. We heard the song, we saw him throw fucking Ganon off the cliff, and it's like, that's Tekken.
It's funny because I wasn't paying attention to the music very much.
I couldn't really hear it.
Or else that would have probably tipped me off
I would say
first.
That would have. I know for a fact I would have been alerted. I've been like, that sounds like Tekken.
But the funniest thing is that Kazuya...
Because Tekken, real quick, I was like, Tekken's music has this very distinct sound to it, where it's like when you hear the songs, you think, okay, that's Tekken.
That's Tekken.
So hearing the music in the trailer for his reveal in Smash,
it wasn't even like a remix. That was straight up Kazuya's theme.
It was
from
but,
2. Yeah,
it was, but because we couldn't exactly hear it well, we didn't recognize it until later.
Yeah.
And then once we went back and heard it, it's like, yeah, if we actually heard this, we would have been like, okay.
There's a shot before. Okay, so there's the shot where it's from the pit looking up, and you see Ganon falling down. Before that, when it shows that scrolling shot that's kind of overhead of him walking up, you can tell it's Kazuya if you look right at him before the camera kind of pans away from the characters. I thought it was Heihachi. And the reason why I said that is because I didn't see him in that panning shot. But when you see Ganon in his arms before he throws him off, and you see him from like the chin down, I thought it was Heihachi.
I thought so too, because again, because there's always that joke where it's like it's a trademark of Heihachi and Kazuya throwing each other off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, so I was like,
so it's like, okay, that's a Tekken character. I don't know who, but it's,
also because Heihachi was the first one to do that. To start the
and I thought it would have been
cliff volcano throwing.
But then also I would have thought Heihachi as a Tekken character would have been the most popular out of all of the others because he's the most recognizable out of all of them.
But so is Kazuya.
So is Kazuya, I know, but I thought that Heihachi would have been more so than at least a little more so than Kazuya. But
because Heihachi's kind of like played this sort of mastermind role. I wouldn't even say behind the scenes, because he just straight up goes in and wrecks shit, in particular installments. Like, I'm thinking 4 off the bat and stuff like that. But, and 7. But Kazuya, again, has that start from the very first game. Even if he's mostly lifted from 2, he was like the Jin of the first game, because he was like in his, early 20s in that game? That's why he's wearing the Converse and the ripped jeans and the white tank top. He was really, really young. And Heihachi was like probably in his, late 30s probably. So or maybe, okay, that sounds a little too, maybe he was like in his mid 40s, let's say that, because that would be a little bit of a weird gap if Kazuya's in his early 20s. But that means Heihachi and Kazumi got it on when he was like just fresh out of being a teenager. But anyway, which could have happened, whatever, I don't know, but anyway.
I'll say we'll get to Tekken 7's stuff in a bit.
We will surely get there, because we're doing that thing where, even though I said we're going to jump around, there's still a structure of, let's talk about the old Tekkens, and then let's get into modern Tekken. It's not going to go the exact same ranty type of route as the Smash Brothers podcast went to, but there are things we can critique and kind of criticize for modern Tekken.
I definitely have some stuff to say. So.
I mean, I do too.
I know, but I'm just saying,
But, no, okay. Well, then let's get this out of the way, because I wanted to open the podcast with this question. What would you say your either all-time favorite is, or top 3 favorite Tekken games are?
Ooh.
Because I know mine. Mine, if you want me to
That's
go
a
first.
very tough one for me, actually. If I really had to, okay. I know as the lowest one would be 6, because I wasn't super attached to it.
I consider 6 the black sheep for many reasons that we'll get into later.
I was say, yeah. 6 was very weird for me, and it's not just because of really much. I think it's just because there was something about it that I couldn't immediately be like, okay, I'm into this. But I was still like, it was like, it's Tekken. It's still pretty fun to play. But I don't know. There was something about it that didn't really like latch onto me or anything. So I would say for me personally, that's the lowest one. But if I had to pick a top 3. do the tag games count,
Or you can do whatever.
Okay, because I would say,
I mean, we're kind of just staying in the realm of Tekken's 1 through 7, Tag 1 and 2. That's kind of it, I guess. I mean, Tekken Advance, hell yeah. Which we do have. Fucking Tekken Revolution.
I think 3 would be
3D Prime Edition.
I think 3 for me would be 7, because despite its weird story, it's a really fun game to play. Like,
it's a very fast Tekken.
It's very fast paced. It kind of makes me think of 3.
I was gonna
where
say
it's
I
like-
was gonna interject with that. I was gonna say 7 speed
because
matches 3.
on PS4, even though the load times are when you're in battle and stuff and you're doing a match, it goes by really fast.
Yeah, I know.
Especially when you know what you're doing.
I noticed that when we first started playing that.
Yeah.
When it came out.
So I give 7 at least that. It's like the gameplay is fun, it's very fast paced, and it's very much like, okay, you go in a match, you do that, okay, now you pick a character and you go in the match in whatever stage, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I wish there were more fun offline modes to play, it
Dude,
again,
Tekken
it's
bowling,
still,
duh.
I mean, yeah,
Are we talking 7? I mean, it does have
7.
bowling.
I'm saying, yeah.
We need another Devil Jin story mode.
Another Tekken Force
story mode. Tekken Force story mode. I mean, that's basically scenario campaign, probably from 6
I guess. Yeah.
with Lars.
But yeah, 3 would be 7 because there was a lot of fun stuff there. Even though I wish there was some things that were kind of changed around and done differently, but it's still fun to play. 2 would be 4.
Your second game would be 4.
Yeah, because it's like, even though it was different, or like it was that change. And I'm not saying 4 because of bias reasons. That's gonna be for number 1, but 4 was genuinely fun for me. I remember having a lot of fun playing 4, and it was very much like, that's kind of the game that kind of got me invested in the story in the first place, because I remember seeing 4 and seeing all that stuff, and seeing all the cutscenes where it's that narrator reading the stuff and all that.
I'm just
there
gonna
was a
say
lot
right
of
now,
stuff in 4 that I was just like, fuck yeah, this looks awesome.
Tekken, yeah, I'll speak more when it's my turn for my top 3. But fucking Tekken 4's announcer is like the best goddamn announcer.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
I love him.
I
love the
bro.
filter. I just love
The
how serious he sounds.
The filter is so good.
It's so good.
I love it.
I love that he says Eddie Gordo, and he says Gordo, which makes it sound like he's saying Eddie Fat.
Yeah.
Because Gordo is Spanish for fat.
And so yeah, that's what I put forward to. And then number 1 is Tag 1.
Tag 1.
Tag 1 is the most. I've had so much fun playing Tag 1. There was a lot of stuff in Tag 1 that I can say that's like, yeah, this is a fun mode. Even though there are some that I know I haven't really done a whole lot of, it's still fun to do. It's actually very similar to 3 as well, with its gameplay flow
for
and
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's fast-paced matches, and again, load times are a little but it's really fun to play.
Well, the load times actually aren't as many as they'd
I know-
obviously get later.
I know, but it's like, it's still kind of like,
For
early,
early,
just a
for
little while, but it's not like
early-ish Tekken,
yeah, and it's
all right.
yeah, but it's like, and then there you have the all the characters from the games prior.
That was the coolest shit. Seeing
It was
everyone.
like, yeah, and
Almost
it's-
everyone.
almost everyone,
Like,
but it's,
exempting, like, fucking, like, Jack 1. I
And-
think it's, like, the only character gone.
well,
you know,
Gon was.
Can you play as Dr. B? He can't play as Dr. B.
No,
Yeah, so, like, the 3
Dr.
of them.
B's.
I mean, he was in the...
There was an.
You can knock him out in Tekken, Bowl, Tekken Bowl.
Let's say
But,
there was a voice line for the announcer saying his name,
Yes.
but he's not playable in that one.
Yeah,
That was saved until Tag 2, which that too is also pretty fun. But I wouldn't. I probably, it would be like top 5 I would put Tag 2 in like top 5.
I would definitely
top
put
3.
yeah.
Top 3, number 1 for me is Tag 1 because I have so many memories of Tag 1.
And I have memories with playing with you, playing with Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because while the first game I ever got for the PS2 was Wrath of Cortex, I think it was Tekken Tag that pretty much cemented it for me. Like, this is PS2. Like, this is the next generation for the time. Because I grew up with PS2, like, probably a year after it had just come out, like the console itself. So it was still pretty brand new for the most part. So many fucking good games. A lot of them of which like Jack and Ratchet's like I didn't end up really playing in my childhood. That'd come when I was like pretty much fresh out of high school, I think, which was about a decade ago. Fuck, I'm old. But with Tekken, yeah, Tag and 4 were the two that got me into like this is definitely like
Same,
as a level above all the PS1 games I played.
Tag 1 and 4 were those games where it's like I have the most fond memories of, and say what you will about bias, but it's like, you know, that was just how that was my introduction to Tekken with the series.
I mean Tekken Tag 1 to you was Tekken 2 to me, basically.
Pretty much,
you could say.
Yeah, because every time I see Tag 1's intro, every time it starts, I'm just like,
good.
Oh,
nostalgia.
Nostalgia overload. And
well, I didn't know. Okay, that same nostalgia hit me for Tekken Tag specifically. Hit me when 2 came out because I did not think they were gonna go so fucking hard with bringing back characters.
Yeah,
bringing back the remixing the intro.
Bruh, it was like that with me too. I was like, oh my god, the song.
They brought back Fiji. They brought back Fiji.
They did,
and I was like, oh, it's Roger's theme. Oh shit! Like, you don't understand. If you're a Tekken fan, you'll understand. But if you haven't played many of the games, bruh, it's basically like Smash Brothers Ultimate, where you go, this stage is back, these characters are back, everyone's back,
everyone's here, Snoop Dogg's here too. Everyone is here.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. I don't know how, but I did. Dude, knock him down though. Okay. No, that fucking music video is awesome.
I was saying, I actually do like the song. Not gonna lie.
Song's good.
The song is really good. It was just really funny just seeing there's a stage and Snoop Dogg's just in the background.
That was the era where Snoop Dogg invaded my childhood because he also did a promo for Rayman Legends. And then he later went on to do a promo for Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Of all franchises he could potentially touch to promote, Spyro. It was weird. But that was the most badass, was him and Tekken in Tag 2.
It actually weirdly kind of fit.
It did, like
especially with the song for it too.
Yeah,
it's like
rap isn't necessarily something Tekken's known for by a long shot, but
it like works.
They weaved it in well.
So yeah, they made it work. And
it's campy
very,
and weird and silly, but then again, the whole fucking franchise is. So it kind of feels right at home there in that regard.
Okay. What do you think is weirder, Snoop Dogg or Negan?
Okay, Negan makes no sense. Snoop Dogg, it's just a cameo for a game. He's not even like a playable character.
I know, but it's like
they themed the stage around him.
Yeah.
But the stage is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
because you see him on the throne with the chicks
actually looks
near him.
Let's say it look.
You see real footage of him performing live at different concerts.
Because let's say
you got the fucking lowriders bouncing up and down.
That was a nice touch to that. It was very like this was very much themed like around him and stuff like that. But it's very.
Awesome. I think he has dogs with him. I think he has like pit bulls or something or Rottweilers with him. I think something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But again, it worked.
It's so fucking cool.
It's weird. It's weird initially when you hear it. It's like okay, that's kind of whatever, and it's strange. But it's like then you see it more, and it's like it works.
For my top 3 though, I don't know if it would be like an order from 1 to 3 or anything like that, but I always just generally say that my top 3 is Tekken's 2, 3, and 4. Like just literally 2, 3, and 4. Because while I love all the other ones, and certain ones I love more than others, and some are just kind of weird or whatever, like 2, 3, and 4 not only is where I got my start, stuff like that, it's just that felt like quintessential Tekken. Because 2 you can just pick up and play. It's gonna feel a bit weird because it's not as stiff as Tekken 1. Like I said, Tekken 1 crawled so Tekken 2 could walk, but damn did Tekken 2 walk. It walked very well. It formal speed walked because it it introduced a lot of mainstay mechanics. It introduced I want to say it introduced the sidestep. I want to say it did. And the technology just grew at that point. So, but me not knowing any of that shit, I just had fun with it. And it was my introduction to unlocking characters, like I said before, stuff like that. 3 is the ultimate pick up and play Tekken. Just don't think about anything. That's why, like, I fucking love Matt and Wooley's, like, Friday Night Fisticuffs, like, fucking intro, because it's just sit on the couch with your friends, open up a fucking thing of Oreos, get some beer, or at the time we were kids, some soda, and just play Tekken. Like, it's Tekken 3 is like that game. Just pick up and play. Literally pick up and play.
Because when you watch that episode of them playing Tekken 3,
it's my favorite.
It's very much just
it's relaxed.
like that.
They know their Tekken. They have their opinions like we do.
Yeah. Because they've too have talked about the series and stuff like that.
But they're like huge in the fighting game community. Not in terms of like playing professionally, but knowing their stuff about it. I just like watching them. But
I'll say Tekken 3 is very much when you watch that. That's when you see Tekken 3 and how it's like it is that game where it's easy to pick up and play, and it's like easy to revisit every once in a while.
It's a fun time waster, but time waster in no way is like a negative way to describe it. It's just a great time to just shoot the shit with friends.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, Tekken wasn't that for me and the guys, like the Painbusters guys. That was more like Rayman Arena or some kind of Mario. Maybe Smash Brothers definitely was. Mario Kart.
Smash for me.
Tekken was like for you and me. We were like, we're bored, let's play Tekken.
It was, it was like Smash, Tekken, and Soul Calibur. Like, specifically 2, because that's the one we had at the time.
Yeah, that was like the big one for us.
I don't remember, we didn't get Soul Calibur 3 at that time.
I don't even remember when 3 was announced.
I think we got 3... I was
really keeping up more on Tekken than Soul Calibur.
I think we got 3 later, because I do remember when we got 4 and 5.
I remember when we got 4 and 5. For Soul Calibur.
Yeah. I think we got 3 like before 6.
I do remember seeing, because we watched some Crash commercials on YouTube like about a week or 2 ago.
A lot that I didn't.
It was a week ago. It was like right before Christmas, or it was on Christmas, or something like that.
It was like before Christmas.
It was like right there. So it was more like like a week ago or whatever. The time that we're recording this, and we where's I going with that? We were talking about how I was like, as like an old man, I was remembering seeing certain commercials for Crash on TV, and I only caught one for Tekken 5 on TV a long, long time ago. I do remember that. I forgot what it was about. It was a weird commercial. If I probably typed in Tekken 5 commercial, I could probably find it. But I do remember seeing one Tekken commercial on TV. I didn't see very many advertisements for it. I'm sure there were a bunch. I'm just saying I didn't see them growing up, besides one in particular that I'm kind of remembering. Yeah,
because in most commercials that show Tekken is usually in other commercials promoting other games, where it's like in one Crash commercial, I forget which one it is, but it's that one when he has all the multiple TVs and he's talking about all the different games, and he mentions Tekken. You can see Tekken. I think he mentions Tekken 3.
Does he know?
Or it was either 2 or 3. I forget which one, but he says Tekken in there. Because it was on one of those screens, and I think it even showed a little bit of like the gameplay and
nice
or something like that.
Can we just have 90s nostalgia back? Can we just not in the sense of look at Crash, he's so 90s. I mean, like the literal aesthetic. The "You Are Not Ready" aesthetic of the PS1 was like the coolest shit.
I feel like most people now are trying to do that, even though there's some people are bringing most things from the old days back in a modern sense. But it's like I feel like that's what people are wanting to try and do, is bring all that old stuff back in like a way that appeals to both those that know it and those that don't know it but know
before their time.
Yeah, like, but those that are like
Gen whatever we have right now,
like modern time, like people
12-year-olds.
Yeah. So it's like it's like seeing the vinyl records and stuff. It's like no one now would have been like, what would have been like, oh yeah, vinyl record. They would have been like, the hell is this
kids,
big ass circular CD?
Okay, well,
or something.
Kids now can learn about that because they brought it back. Otherwise, you'd have to literally talk to their grandma about it or grandpa. And for us,
like maybe even the parents or something.
Because like I never had vinyl when I was a kid. I had cassette tapes.
Let's say I had VHS tapes.
I don't know if I had a Walkman. I don't think I did, but I had a little cassette tape. I remember I used to have cassette tapes of like Thomas stories at Tom's Tank Engine or like fucking VeggieTales or whatever.
I mean, bro, you have no idea. I wish I was born in your era. I wish I was born in the 90s.
You were right on the cusp. You were 2000.
I know, and it's
you are right on the new.
New
era, millennia, whatever.
I almost passed it because I was at the very end.
The cool thing is that the 2000s. For a time, up until about 0506, were basically like 90s 2.0. Because
pretty much
there's always a grace period of years after the last decade passed where that current decade still feels kind of that past decade. Yeah. Because I was about to say, with the You Were Not Ready, very 90s punk aesthetic that the PS1 went through, Nintendo would later kind of do something with the GameCube era. It was never quite... I mean, it had some of it in the N64 era, but it really went hard within the GameCube era. I feel. So it was like they were trying to play catch up with that 90s aesthetic, and they really went hard with it with GameCube, but GameCube's early 2000s. But I wish that they'd go hard like that again, like just with that aesthetic, because it was so cool.
Yeah.
This is not Tekken, I'm sorry.
I know, but it's just like,
We always tend to take a break so we can talk like old men. I'm only in my late 20s. I'm in my late 20s. Existential crisis. Anyway. So, Tekken 5 is fucking the best for its intro.
Tekken? Oh my god.
Sparking will
Tekken
never be
5's
topped. It's only topped right now by Tekken 2's intro. Best intros. Tekken 2 first, and then Tekken 5. No other intro. Maybe 3, but...
Well, I mean, 3's is okay.
3's is cool.
Again, that was kind of like...
6's is weird. 7's is just cinematic because it lays the grounds for the story mode.
Yeah.
So it's not really much of an intro. It's like this recap of like what's going to be going... what happened before and what's going to happen in the story.
It felt more like an intro for like a movie or something.
It felt very much like a movie.
Yeah.
Sparking is so good though.
Sparking is like, oh my god, it's like the best fucking theme for the Tekken series.
It's so good.
Because again, that too, Tekken 5 was very nostalgic. Hell, when I revisited 5 and I was looking through like the bonus shit for like the bonus cinematics and stuff like that, they had the trailers from like E3 and shit of like early 2000s. It was like 2004, I think. That. And I was like, fuck, 2004?
You were 4.
And I know, and it's
3
like
going on 4.
Yeah, it was, and I saw this, and I was like, and I was watching them, and I was just like, huh, because it was
now
just like,
think back when like that in that time.
That's what I was. I was like,
it was completely different. I'm telling you guys, if back from the Smash one, the Smash podcast, it was completely different. I mean, the levels of hype and everything match what we've got today when we see Ultimate or we see Tekken 7 or whatever else, but like, or Breath of the Wild 2, I don't fucking know. The hype levels for anticipated games, it was still felt even back then, but just the time was different because you could only find out about those reveals if you were there.
Yeah.
Or when like IGN reported on it, but even then,
or even
getting access,
and then also seeing them in magazines too,
getting regular
whether it's
access
on the front cover or in the magazine itself.
Yeah,
like a certain page.
Getting regular access to stuff like that through the internet, whatever, wasn't as common back then. It started to become common like around the late-ish 2000s. So like, what we have now, we haven't had for very long. So when little kids come and go, wow, you're old, to someone like me, not really, because my generation was born right at that time where we can still feel like how our parents do when they reminisce on old shit. But our old shit has only been old for just shy of 20 years, which sounds like a lot, I know. Like when you're talking about like the 80s kids will be like, yeah, well 20 years ago was fucking in the 60s. And that sounds like that was fucking way years and years away from now. Far ago, but like it does, because of how technology was advancing more in the 90s/2000s than it probably was around that time. And anywhere between the 60s to the 80s. I mean, technology definitely advanced. It took a while for it to get there, but
it made it there.
It made it there for sure.
Yeah.
Because you got shit like 50s and stuff going from black and white to color, stuff like that.
Because even when you it's the same way when you look at the early video games too, like those early video games like Pong and shit. It's like it was extremely primitive then, and it wasn't very like advanced. It was advanced for its time, but
It was revolutionary for its time.
I would say because it's just like no one really thought it
but
would
someone
work
has to. But you have to start somewhere when you're innovating on technology like that. Like we've got 4K and shit now. We're trying to do 8K, and some stuff can do 8K, but 8K is not common. Watch in another like 3 to 5, 7 years when 8K is now the thing we're trying to hit. I didn't know what 4K was when it was first making rounds as like you can go higher than HD, and I'm like, what? But isn't HD high def? How do you go higher than high def? Apparently you can. 4K, but smoother frame rates, whatever. Like, just look at those displays at like Target or something on the TVs. But look at how much technology advanced too. Because I know this again doesn't sound like Tekken, but Tekken can kind of, at most games and all games really, can kind of go back to this, where it's like in the time from like the 90s to now, we've had VHS and Betamax, then we had DVD, then we had Blu-ray. All in the span of about maybe 10, 15 years.
I was gonna say about
all of that growing in the span, and VHS and stuff started like probably in like the 80s, probably maybe 70, 80s, like around there. See, I don't even know that goes a little bit before me, but that's all we had back then. Like I said in the Smash Brothers one, when I was a kid, all I knew was PlayStation. That was just what was in the house. So I was 2. So how am I supposed to ask mom at 2 years old for a Nintendo 64? I don't know what the fuck that was. Like, and my mom just was, of all things she could have picked for a console to play because she was 21 at the time. Well, in 95. So she was about 23 or so when I was around. Or rather, sorry, she was 21 when she had me. So by the time I was playing video games and she introduced it to me, she was 23. If anything she could have gotten, it just happened to be PlayStation. It could have been Nintendo, and then I could have grown up to be a Nintendo kid instead of a PlayStation kid. Or both at the same time, or whatever. Variants, and, I'm trying to think of Marvel, like, fucking, that's a Nexus event. I get a Nintendo instead of a PS1. But, just seeing how, like, the tech evolved within that time really quickly, because
even with video games you can see that too. You can see that evolutionary process, especially when you go back to when a series started to how it is now, like Tekken, Soul Calibur, fucking Smash Brothers and stuff like that. Just any of those games really, and not even just fighting games, just games in general. Once you see the beginning of how a series started up till the recent times, you can see that evolution, especially with like the technological stuff too, because like I said, Tekken 1 was very stiff and very like very early. Then 2 refined all of that stuff, but it was still kind of like it was the start. And then with 3, it kind of like redefined on how Tekken was, and then from there it just kind of slowly but surely evolved into something more. Like they kept tweaking stuff and made things different to make each Tekken feel like kind of like its own, while still being in the series and stuff like that.
It's funny because mom's always saying how like, well, kids today, not like an old person, but she does say like, well, kids today expect too much out of certain things in entertainment and in media. They have such a high standard, and
I would agree with that.
Here's the thing, because we can just recall that shit so like, oh yeah, well Tekken 1 was just early as fuck, and Tekken 2 did some things better, Tekken 3 did some things better after that. But in that time, not only was Tekken 1 revolutionary, because no one saw anything like it, next to Fatal Fury, but then they were like, Fatal Fury, Virtua Fighter, I meant to say, sorry. Virtua Fighter 1 and Tekken 1 were the first like real full 3D fighters. Even if the backgrounds were 2D, but whatever, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People back then were probably like, I wonder how they can top this. Not, oh, well, obviously you just need to, fucking this and tweak this. And
Yeah, that was...
it's just a matter of, this is where it started, and then Namco were like, okay, let's do the next one, and this is what we can do better, because now we understand how to make this type of game. But you had to do it very primitively to start before you can get to the improvement part of it. And it's interesting to see that when you look back on it now, because look at the thumbnail. I put old Heihachi and fucking like Tekken 6 or 7 Kazuya. Like, even graphically, that leap is gigantic in the span of 20 years. But like, it's just taking advantage of the technology. I mean, but because arguably Tekken started to look like that, like the newest, like how we have now, around the time of the PS2 era, sort of. And, I mean, if you want the biggest example of that, even set just in the PS1 era, just look at the fucking cutscenes. The intros from Tekken 1 and 2 to 3. Like, 2 and 3? That's a fucking huge leap. And they look way better in 3. There was a massive improvement.
If you look at the intros and like the arcade endings for the different characters and stuff, you can see again. The
CGI was
see all
evolving.
of that, especially in Tekken 2's intro with Nina. They really
look at the Tekken 2 intro with Nina. They went out of the way. These motherfuckers went out of the way to say, we're going to literally render every hair on her head.
Yeah.
Because look at our technology. They were flexing on the competition. It looks silly as shit now. It was funny because when we were playing the Tekken 7 story mode, Mom was like, Nina's hair is weird. And I was like, you think it's weird now? Remember the way it looked in Tekken 2?
Yeah. We even went back to like after we finished that.
We unlocked the
went back
cinematics.
We unlocked everything that was there, and then we just started watching the intros and stuff.
Not to get too far ahead, but that's what makes Tekken 7 feel like the last of its era, because of how that's the one that includes unlockable cutscenes. You can watch everyone's endings and stuff from Tekken 1. So this is like the legacy game where it's like, we're going to show you fucking where it started and just go up the chain.
Yeah, and even artwork from that time too, like promo images and
remember when Kumitsu was a guy?
Yeah.
Remember when she just shared fucking Yoshimitsu's voice clips?
And mask.
Yeah, it was fucking.
It's basically Kumitsu was basically like a Yoshimitsu clone, but then like.
I mean, yeah, she kind of was.
But then,
but she did have her own fight style.
Yeah.
Still, she was different. But the thing they were trying to make known is that the two share a link. And they always have, even to Tekken 7 now. Even though the Kumitsu in Tekken 7 isn't the same one. That's her daughter. But like, yeah, because that's another thing we talked about was legacy characters with Wes and I on Mortal Kombat. Yes, Tekken did that. They did it really early with Tekken 3, because that was like a good, 20-ish year time gap between 2 and 3 in universe. That's why Heihachi's old. And he's been ever since. Until they did Young Heihachi again.
Until Tag 2 came along, they were like, let's make
this is
him
the
young.
one thing I wish for Young Heihachi. It's cool in Tag 2. That was the first one they did it, to do that throwback and be like, look at, here's Heihachi with black hair again. But
short black hair, and it's like full and stuff like that.
It was a full head of hair, and the spikes were more on the top of his head, so it looks like scissors. Open-end scissors. I call it the scissor hair. But we've never gotten bald, regular, poofy hair Heihachi the way he looks with black hair. Like he looked in Tekken's 1 and 2. I kind of want that still, but you could probably find a way to like dye the hair in like a customization thing or something, as far as I know, whatever. But I don't know, man. I forgot where I was going with that. But Tekken's awesome. Here, you say something. I'm gonna cough.
I mean, yeah. Just seeing it, just to end off like the evolutionary talk of it. It's just
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, the legacy Tekken 3.
It was just cool. Like I really like how 7 was that one that was like. I appreciate 7 for being that one that's like, okay, this is going to be the end of this like the tagline for it was the end of the Mishima saga.
Yeah.
And seeing the beginning, seeing on how the first game and how that was all the way up, for every game that came out, for the console games and stuff like that, for seeing all of that with the intros, the endings, the artwork and stuff, and all of that leading up till now was very like, oh my god for me, because it was just like they went through all that stuff to make it feel like a legacy.
Yeah,
like,
this
game.
is 20 years of Tekken. It
And
was a
it's
good
just
way.
like, you
Wasn't Tekken 7 like an anniversary? Well, I would say Tag 2 was kind of that. Like
Tag
a 20th anniversary
Tag 2 was an
celebration.
Tag 2 was an anniversary game because that's what it was. I believe that's what it was advertised as. I forget the specific anniversary, but it was an anniversary
then if it came out in 2015 or so, then it was the 20th anniversary. Which means Tekken's now about 20. Because it was
actually, yeah, that's what it was.
Tekken was 95.
Yeah.
If I remember right. So,
because then, yeah.
I was going to ask, in Tekken's 5 and 6, in the legacy stuff, and the stuff you can look at in Tekken 7, do they have anything from the PSP ports? Because they're slightly different, kind of.
5 has
Dark Resurrection.
Because it has Lily's ending and Dragunov's ending in there.
Bloodline Rebellion was Tekken 6.
Yeah, and I don't remember if there was anything from there. I think
was
there
Bloodline
was
Rebellion? Something like that, yeah. Something like that.
I think there was some stuff there. I know there was definitely stuff for artwork, because it was the same thing with 5. In 5's artwork, there was Dark Resurrection stuff in there. Like, it was like they showed a picture of Lily and Dragunov, because that's where they got their start.
I often forget that Lily started in 5.
I would say, yeah, because I thought
it was 6.
I thought it was 6. Like, when 6 came out, I thought that was the origin for most of those characters. I didn't realize that Lily and Dragunov started a little earlier than that, and it was like, oh, because it was the same thing with Eliza. Because I thought that it was just a straight up fan made character for a thing that they just threw into 7 because why not? And it was a thing they wanted to do. Like, I thought that's what it was.
You forgot Tekken Revolution.
I didn't know that she had to start in Revolution. I was like, oh, okay.
I played Revolution because I didn't know what the fuck it was. It was just Tekken, so I'm like, of course I'm gonna play it. And it's just a watered down online only version of 6, but with an addition of hot vampire chick, and I'm like, that's fine with me. I don't know, whatever. But it's funny because, yeah, I don't know. We never grew up with. We didn't even have a PSP, so we never got to play those ports.
Yeah. Well, I think we even cared enough to get something like that, like a Vita.
Well, I just never got around to. Again, I just never got around to like asking for one or trying to save up for one or whatever.
But at the same time, I feel like I at least I think now too. I've always just heard many mixed things about the like Vita.
I'm sure the performance.
Because I think they do things. They do certain games differently on those. Yeah. And stuff like that. Because sometimes people, if it's like bad, they really like joke on it and stuff like that. But then there are others where it's like, yeah, they changed this thing, they added this and did that. Because like, you know, if you've seen the whole Street Fighter Cross Tekken dealio and how all that shit went down, then you know there was all that stuff there. But you know,
but in terms of the PSP versions of 5 and 6 and stuff, I don't know. I haven't heard many opinions on them, but I don't think that those ports are probably bad. Probably I mean, hell, if they can get Tekken 3 to work on a Game Boy, then I'm sure that the PSP versions of 5 and 6 are okay at best.
And then there's also fucking Tekken 3D and stuff on 3DS.
Yeah, Prime Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which works like a charm, and it was still pretty fun. And you get the whole ass movie from Blood Vengeance on the DS. And it's not fucking like bit crushed or compressed or anything, so it's actually watchable. And because it's a 3D movie, we saw that movie in theaters.
And we had those glasses on.
That's where we got the real
D 3D.
The real D 3D glasses, which are, I believe, the modern 3D glasses now. When movies come out in 3D nowadays. Because that's a whole other thing to bring up about us being old and whatever. I still remember the fucking red and blue glasses. That's 3D to me.
I say we still had those.
We still have a ton of those, yeah. And having fucking Spy Kids 3D was the first movie I saw in theaters. I was like, it's 3D, and get the glasses and watch it. I remember that day because we had to go up to the front desk and get those glasses. We're here for Spy Kids. Here are your glasses, and then we went to the fucking auditorium.
Yeah, because with those glasses too, they even customized them to fit the movie that you're seeing.
Yes, some of them were just the white ones. The Sharp Boy and Lava Girl ones looked all fucking like tech looking, whatever. They're paper, but they look all tech with like designs on them and stuff.
Yeah, I like that of the 3D glasses.
There was some little thing we got for Sly 3 when I bought that a long time ago, and
was there?
There was like a little comic booky thing in it, and it included 3D glasses or something. So we have some Sly 3 3D glasses.
Oh, I think,
which is funny. But Tekken Blood Vengeance, once the red and blue stuff for the 3D glasses were phased out, and we got these Real 3D glasses.
Real D 3D glasses.
Tekken Blood Vengeance was the first and only so far to this day movie we saw more modern 3D stuff for that movie. Because first off, I didn't even know they were going to play in theaters, so already I was like, we have to watch it. It wasn't even the theater that we go to; it was a different one.
I'll say it was a different theater.
Further into like our city, so we had to kind of really into town, so we had to really go over there to go see it. But it was a fucking cool ass experience because it was a cool experience because. It was that movie, of course, is not made for a general audience. The theater showing was not for a general audience. It was for Tekken fans. So we went there, and we're seeing people dressed up as like Alyssa and Xiaoyu and like other characters come in, and we were like, "This is fucking awesome."
And then seeing everything in 3D like that was
It was cool.
It was awesome. I really liked it.
But I was going to say, too, again, going back to the DS version with Prime Edition, the movie still works on the 3DS because it's got the 3D, and you don't even need the glasses. So you just flip the little slider on, and you're watching Blood Vengeance in 3D, and it's awesome. It was really cool that they took advantage of the 3DS like that. But that kind of starts our descent into now the modern Tekken.
I was about to say,
because again,
okay,
Tekken 5 started that precedent of, okay, we've got a lot of staples now, a lot of characters. They've got their tropes and their stuff that they're known for, and whether it's moves, behavior things, catchphrases, laughs, Brian, everything's there. Get ready for the next battle. That's there, and then 6 happens. And again, 6 was the start of PS3 Tekken. And PS3 Tekken was like probably the shortest era for Tekken because it was just Tekken 6. I mean, it was widely celebrated because that was coming around the time of the 20th anniversary. So we got Tekken 6, we got Tekken Hybrid, which was the thing for Prime Edition, Tekken Tag 1 HD Remastered, the prologue for Tag 2, it was Blood Vengeance. Then we got Tag 2 proper later in like the early 2010s. It was huge. But it was the shortest because it was really just, when you think about it, for console games, it was 6 and Tag 2. That was the PS3 era. But that's also where things started to change. Not just the way the games kind of played for the most part. It was still Tekken, but then also in Universe. In Universe, a lot of stuff started to change. One of the things that I'm just going to get out of the way, because I never understood why they did it, was that they changed Yoshimitsu's voice again. I mean, it's the same voice actor, same sort of effect, but it just sounds different. And for some reason, it sounds quieter, and I don't like that. Tekken 4 and 5, his voice was something else. And I fucking love it. Because I'll always appreciate Katsuhiro Harada himself doing Yoshimitsu in the early Tekkens, and it was awesome, and it's an iconic Yoshimitsu voice. Everyone knows it if you know the character. But then 4 comes in, he's speaking Japanese, and he's got this kick-ass filter to his voice, and it sounds robotic, and I love it, and it's fucking rad to see him with the fucking beetle outfit, the wings, and he's talking like that. I'm like, what the fuck? He's got that metallic mask with the big red hair, and I'm like, what? This is some sick ass shit. And then in 6, for some reason, they just changed his voice again. And I mean, his design in 6, okay, his design for both the P1 and P2 costumes are pretty damn cool, because I do like that ghoulish fucking Grim Reaper looking
I love
ass
the, I love
with the
that.
wheel behind
Yeah,
him.
I was
That
saying,
shit was
I love the fucking wheel behind
that
him.
was
I was
dope,
like,
and it spins when you do certain moves. That shit was awesome. It reminded me of Soul Calibur. I feel they took a page for that design out of Soul Calibur's book with the flag, and that's like a cultural thing for him in that era, for Soul Calibur. It's a real life cultural thing.
Yeah.
But the wheel was fucking dope. I gotta say too, yeah. It should be obvious at this point. Between the Soul Calibur portrayal and the Tekken portrayal, I love both. I showed Yoshimitsu to Miharu because she ended up being attracted to his Tekken 4 outfit with the beetle, but because it's a skull face and these beetle wings and shit. But she likes his Soul Calibur portrayal a lot more. Rather, she prefers that to the Tekken stuff.
Understandable.
I prefer Tekken, but I love both. But Tekken's just so much more visceral and badass.
Say, yeah.
He's really goofy in Soul Calibur, but
he's goofy, but I really
it makes sense.
I do love the performance.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, and again, I'm just gonna be super biased. Soul Calibur 2, I fucking love Yoshimitsu in that game.
Oh, of course. Oh, hell yeah.
It's like the best performance and like the best iteration of Yoshimitsu, in my opinion. I fucking love it. Dude.
That
like again, like I was saying, I love both. I actually don't have any real bias towards like performance or portrayal or anything of the both versions, because I just like both equally. They both have like both portrayals and stuff. I have an equal amount of love for both, because
I mean, yeah.
Again, like Soul Calibur 2 and like Tekken 4 and stuff like that, those are like my introductions to just the character Yoshimitsu. Like, so I just ended up liking both of them, and
here I am growing up with Knight Yoshimitsu, in that knight's armor. Back when they had no idea back when Namco had no idea what the fuck they wanted him to be. So in like the Tekken, I think it's 1 manual, they call him a cyber space ninja.
Cyberspace ninja.
By the way, he's completely human. That's not what he is. That is now canon. Whatever the fuck they were on when they did that for him in Tekken 1, that shit left real quick.
Say, yeah.
But
I will say Yoshimitsu's design in Tekken 3, bro.
It's iconic. I like it.
I like it.
But there are better costumes for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I really like.
But
really like
obviously, Tekken 3's Yoshimitsu is like, for the majority, the quintessential Yoshimitsu. It's what ended up in the live action movie. It's what's in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. So like,
it's just very recognizable.
It's very recognizable, and I do like it. There's nothing wrong with it. I would call it not my absolute favorite, but it's up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
Because again, Tekken 4 gave us some badass outfits. Tekken 6 has some good outfits. Tekken 7's Squid Mitsu is cool. Whatever.
That was fun. That was like the funniest ones to me.
We all know the best one's the shark costume. And I just shot Victor an evil glare right now. Because in our verses, that's what we fucking did in our Yoshimitsu versus Yoshimitsu fight.
Is that what it is?
That's what you did, yes. You were like, I hope I pressed the right button. I'm like, for what? And I was like, the shark costume. And then he came on screen, and I was like, God damn it, Victor.
That's alright.
The fuck? What? Okay, now we're back. We've come full circle to what the fuck were they on when they did that? Although I did find out there was some, what was it called? The cardboard man or cardboard box man or something? There was some, or cardboard ninja or something. I showed you that one. There's a DLC extra secret unlockable costume for Yoshimitsu, and I think it was 6 if you pre-ordered it.
Oh,
it's
that's
a reference
right.
to like an anime or something.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And it's one of the only times I think Yoshimitsu has a human face, if I remember right, or you still don't see it. But it's the most human he's ever looked.
I was gonna say it was the most human he looked. Like it was this.
And his sword's a cardboard tube.
Yeah, there were still a lot of them you couldn't see well, but you could see that there was a lot of him that was like human and stuff like that. So again,
well, there are 2 other really blatant yet subtle simultaneously instances where you can tell Yoshimitsu's human, even as far back as PS1 Tekken, where even though they called him a fucking cyberspace ninja in Tekken 1, Tekken 2, you can see his mouth, his human ass mouth, because it's just a mask. Nothing else is really covering his face besides literally I'm putting on a mask.
Yeah.
You can see his mouth in the mouth of the mask, and you can see his neck.
Yeah.
And
even in
Tekken 4.
Yeah.
With that beetle costume, in his portrait, you can see a bit of his neck. So that's how you know he's human. But anyway, so that was our Yoshimitsu tangent. Back to Tekken 6. Whereas I feel that the PS2 era like really just went hard and full on with this is Tekken for the next generation. In some aspects, they did do this is Tekken for the next generation for the PS3 era. But that's where they started to change things around because then the fighting game scene, got more competitive. So because of that, they try to start tweaking things around to make the characters a bit more Evo friendly, fighting game tournament friendly. That was now a thought that cropped up into their minds. So whereas we talked about Smash Brothers, that was how you said it went from Nintendo All-Stars to crossover, and it slowly became that, and it was most prominent in Smash 4. Tekken 6 was the one that said, okay, we're going to be a bit more of a competitive Tekken. We're going to start changing things around to make it a little bit more fresh. That kind of meant nixing some of those iconic punching and kicking sound effects. Some stuff stayed, like the laser eye thing, that sound effect stayed. You cannot change that. If you change it, it's not Tekken. If you change Yoshimitsu's kind of, with the sword, it's not Tekken. So they were fucking smart to not change that. But the particle effects are a little bit different, and Brian's laugh is different, and it might be a whole new voice actor, I don't know. Yoshimitsu's voice kind of went through a bit of a change, starting with 4, but kept on throughout. Jin's moveset changed because that was a story reason. A lot just was kind of weird with that one, and introducing characters like Lars and stuff, and then doing the scenario campaign, it was very weird. Because it's the only time Tekken did, only time until fucking 7, that Tekken did like a story mode, So like...
And we didn't really even get far in that. I remember we tried it.
We didn't.
I remember we tried it. I don't even know how long that story is, but I know for a fact we didn't even get far in it at all.
Because it was weird. I mean, again, that came around the time that...
it was like different.
Soul Calibur 5 story came out, and people didn't give a shit about that one.
That
one was weird.
If I recall, because this is how I remember, this is at least how I can remember 6's story campaign, was like, I think it was a mix of like how 7 had how it's 7's story, how there were those kind of like quick time events, and then there was also like those ones where it's like Lars has a fucking gun that you can press a button and you try to use that to damage the enemy. And then it had, if I remember right, I believe it has segments like Tekken Force where you're walking around and stuff. I think
probably
that I feel like that's part of it. I don't know if it is, but I think it was like that. I'd probably have to look at like the beginning gameplay of it to remember.
I remember kind of how it starts. You're like in a building, and I don't know if it's when Lars first goes rogue because he was part of the Tekken Force. That's the whole thing with his character, or he's a rebel. I don't know if that's where he went rogue. Or he already was, but they didn't know that, so he blended himself into the Force and then turned on them, and that's where the story starts. Because you're in a building doing some kind of like recon mission, I think, and then you have to start fighting Tekken Force dudes. That's how scenario campaign starts, if I remember right. But it was weird, so like...
Let's say again, we didn't really get far into it.
The story was just really weird, and I don't know what the end goal for that story was.
I'll say I don't know. I don't know how that ends.
But that's why Tekken 7's story grabbed me, and that was the whole thing of how Tekken 7 was marketed, is that it was the last one of this era, and it's the last one for the Mishimas and Kazamas and universe. Which we'll get into again a little bit later, but with 6, it's the black sheep because that's where the performance issues started to creep in. You've got more to load. Things are more detailed, sure, but like, there's a reason it's the only Tekken that did on the loading screen. Here, get ready for the next battle. It's animated, but it takes so goddamn long for the character models to load in on screen, and it's just weird shit. It takes a long time for the models to load in when you're choosing characters. Like, it was really weird. They were obviously innovating on some technical aspects and visual aspects, but it doesn't feel like it was tested right to make sure that everything was smooth.
Yeah.
Even 7 and Tag 2 suffer from that. Modern Tekken suffers from that.
Yeah.
Because, again, going into Tekken 3, choose your character if we're playing a 2-player, bam into loading for like maybe half a second, bam into the fight. You win, bam into the fight. When you go into like, if you're doing like arcade or something, and you pick someone, load in, so-and-so versus so-and-so, bam into the fight, bam, you win, bam, loading the next one, bam into the next fight. Immediately, that fast. Tekken 6 onward, don't go that fast.
Yeah. But I will say for 6's character select screen, I really like the...
That's cool.
I really like the moving camera in like the one, like, I guess...
It's cool.
I don't know, like... I'm not sure what the area around that they use like to load the models in is.
Yeah.
But it looks cool, and like it's the only Tekken to really do that, if I remember right. Like in terms of having like the characters pop up in this setting and having like the camera moving around and doing all that stuff. Because in Tag 1 was the one where
Tag 1 did do that too.
Where it was just the character. Yeah, it was just the character models that would load in, but there wasn't any flashy shit going on. It was just like you hover over a character and their model appears, and that's the character that you see and stuff. But 6 was like the 6's character select was just like you have the roster at the bottom, and then if you highlight over one of them after a while, when the model loads, then it's like you just kind of see it there and stuff like that.
I feel too why I also say it's the black sheep, because it was the start of, I think, the Namco team working on Tekken becoming safe with the formula. There was already a formula born. By 3 and 4, definitely in 5, 6 was already comfortable, which is arguably a good thing, but then when you start hearing the exact same lines of dialogue come from Jin, or Devil Jin, fear my wrath, fear the wrath of God, fucking Jin's like, what does he say? What does Jin say? I don't know how he says it in Japanese. I can hear him say it in Japanese, I just don't know really what he's saying. But he says the same thing every time when you start a fight. You've got Brian... Brian's laugh's iconic. Again, you have to have him laugh, but it's a different laugh. Characters start to just feel the same, not change too much. For as much story stuff's changing, Jin in 6 still kind of acts the same way as he does in 4, except for 6, again, in the story, he fucking takes over the Zaibatsu and then starts a fucking war. It's weird. It's bizarre. Character motivations start to get kind of weird. They just got really safe in the character interactions too, because you have the rival fights in 5. Some of them were kind of weird. Some made sense. Some started as far back as 4, maybe even 3.
So,
like Paul and fucking Harong and Jin, Paul and Kuma. Fucking, if it's not Yoshimitsu and Kunimitsu, because she's not around for many canon games, then it's Yoshimitsu and Brian. That started in 4 because Yoshimitsu helped Brian. But then I forget something. I think Brian killed a lot of the Manji clan, and it pissed Yoshimitsu off. So now they're rivals. Because it's explained in, I think, 5's like opening for one of them or something. I think it was Yoshimitsu's actually.
I think so because in Yoshimitsu's ending, when Brian explodes, he says retribution.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all he says.
Yes, he does. You're right. I just thought, speaking of announcers, we talked about Tekken 4's announcer, and that was the start too of. It only went for about the 3 games. I mean, you can argue that Tekken 7 had it too when you do that weird thing where you unlock their endings. It has the splash screen of like, this is why they're here and this is what they're doing. It was narrated and it was fucking awesome in 4. In 5, they do it again, but the music's not as cool. The announcer's not as cool. And it's funny because the announcer says things, not even character names, very weirdly. Like when you do Moku, we always make fun of this. Mokujin's intro, it ends with the narrator going like this: "Will Mokujin ever be free?" And it's the funniest shit. And I'm like, oh my god.
I forgot about that actually.
And I think 6 has it too. The character intros when you do arcade mode, but they're not even narrated. It's like literally 4 minutes, so godly and awesome, and it just declined. In terms of arcade mode intros for characters.
Because with 5 it felt downgraded. I actually don't even remember 6's at all, or at least like
they still have like these cool like artsy kind of like splash screens for the characters when it says what they're doing, but I don't even think it's narrated.
I will say I can. I would, with how 7 did those kind of things for the characters for the character episodes.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I like the little I like the effects and stuff that they made for that splash screen to then put some small ass text on there. Four does the best.
Small ass text.
I swear to God, it's
okay.
So
that's a whole thing with the PS3 and just that generation.
I know, but it's just like, oh my God.
The text got so fucking small, and they're these generic little white. It's a generic font. All the text is white. There's barely a drop shadow on the text, so you can barely see it. And it's like, who thought that was cool? It looks cleaner. Yeah. It also is really hard to see. And for someone like me who's, was it narrow-sighted?
Nearsighted?
Nearsighted, sorry. Narrow-sighted. It makes it hard to see the subtitle. You can't change, as far as I'm aware, you can't change the subtitle size.
Like, I don't have, I can see clearly, and fucking, like, I can still... fucking I still have trouble reading some of that shit. I had to sit like near the fucking TVs to see that shit. And it's like, this is annoying.
It's not even because it's not stylized anymore. And one other thing too, Tekken 6, just to end off on that for a minute, is also the first one to finally get a definitive Tekken logo. Because you look at Tekken 1, it's just like a weird font and the Iron Fist kanji's in the back. And then 2 is iconic, and 3 looks pretty badass, and 4 was cool because 4 was the first one where the kanji wasn't red, so that was awesome. It was all like weird bluey, silvery, electric-y in the background. It was awesome. And then 5, it was getting there, and then by 6, they got their font, they got the way they wanted it to look, and it's been that way ever since. Which is cool, but it loses the individuality that, like, the other games had. 1 through 5 had really, like...
Hell, like, Tekken 7 didn't even have the kanji in the background. It was just Tekken 7.
I feel that was symbolic. I think they did that because the story mode is not about the tournament. Heihachi calls the tournament in the story mode.
But you don't really see the tournament.
But it's the focus of that game is
about the
ending
saga.
the Mishima Kazama story.
Yes.
Mishima mainly, but, you know, Jin's kind of there, I guess. Whatever.
Jin's there.
He's unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But, yeah, so, because remember, the kanji stands for Iron Fist, the King of Iron Fist tournament. It's not about the tournament in this case. So, because it was weird. I was like, the kanji's not on the back. Why is that? I remember looking at Tekken 7, the logo, and I'm like, something's missing. It's the kanji. Why is the kanji not there? And it's because I feel that's why it is. So that's my justification for it anyway. I don't know if that's what they intended, but it's the only one without the kanji in the back. And it's weird to see when you notice it.
So it's the only modern game without the kanji in it.
I mean, no. In hindsight, there are some logos with it intact because we've used it. We've used that. I think we used that one for our verses.
I think so, yeah.
But the main logo that's on the title screen, everywhere in the advertisements, it's always that one without the kanji. But yeah, so Tekken 6 started up some things that would end up that was the start of modern Tekken. Because Tekken today still acts and plays and sounds and looks the way Tekken 6 does. Just prettier because now we've got PS4 and PS5. But Tab 2, again, we're not going to touch on too much. It's awesome. It's a spin-off. We touched on it earlier in this episode.
Has some Tag 2.
It was hype.
Tag 1.
It was fucking hype.
Tag 1 has super amazing music. Tag 2 took that and then, like, stepped it up. Like,
say what you will about the fact
I
that...
fucking love it.
Say what you will about the fact, because people have, long-standing Tekken fans have, said their piece about how the music got more EDM, more dubsteppy.
Or dubsteppy, yeah.
But, so while not all the music is memorable anymore, some bits are still cool. Some do still stand out. And it was cool, again, in Tag 2 specifically, to hear a mix of that style, because that started around Tekken 5, Tekken 6, and the remixes of the old songs. Again, Fiji, I was like, shit! That's for me. That's for us. That's for the 90s Tekken fans. Because, shit, man.
I was saying, I actually didn't even recognize that was Fiji until you were like, "Oh my god!" And I was like,
I was freaking out.
Yeah. And then I was like, "What?" And then you showed me, and then I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know that's what that was.
I wish they brought back Kunimitsu's theme, because that one was pretty hype also. There are a bunch of themes they could have brought back. Hell, even Kazuya's theme or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, Tad 2 was just this... I mean, Tad 2 in its own right also started this whole weird thing of... These are spin-offs. These two in the Tag series now. Now Tag is a series. They're spin-offs, but even in the realm of those spin-offs, we're still not going to remain consistent. The continuity is going to be weird. Because June and Unknown were always likened to one another in the first game. So they said, alright, so June is Unknown in the second game. And it's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
There's no real explanation for it at all. Again, it's a spin-off, but it's like there was like if kind of was just kind of like, all right, yeah, this is a thing now, and it's like, oh, okay, sure, I guess.
Yeah, that's one thing that we now have to touch on now that we're getting to Modern Tekken is that
I really
certain things. The game has a very esoteric way of presenting itself, because it'll say, here's stuff you remember, here's stuff we established from the first 3 or 4 games, but by the last 2 or 3 we're gonna kind of we're a bit fuzzy now in the details. We forgot that Yoshimitsu was this way. It's whatever that, this character acted this way before, but now he's just not. And it's like, why did you change that? Or why would you, there are a lot of questions for character motivations and for story that we still don't know. The reason why we put off this episode is because you wanted me to do the story mode of Tekken 7. Now we're here. Let's talk about it. What the fuck? No, I like it. It's cool. There was this moment where I almost teared up just a smidge. Because they did this weird flashback thing. Oh. And they just cycled through a bunch of Tekken 1 through 3 shit. And I was like,
in the final fight.
Whoa! Yeah. That's fucking dope!
I know. When I played that part, I was like, oh god. Oh my god.
Because it's cool. Because when you're fighting, what they'll do for fights like Heihachi versus Akuma, they'll be like, if you do a cool move or something, it'll kind of cut to them a little bit and they'll cut back to the fight real fast. Yeah. It's like a little cinematic thing.
I'll say it.
But in that final fight with Kazuya and Heihachi, they do flashbacks overlaying the fight, and you're still playing. So
that was fucking dope.
That, you start seeing flashes of Tekken 2.
You saw flashes of Tekken 1, actually. Yeah. There was a bit of 1, but there's 2, there's 3, and all of those and stuff, even 4.
I'm kind of tearing up just thinking about it. Because it was so cool.
It was awesome. I love that. That final fight... So just in general, leading at least when it came to the cutscene and then leading into the fight up until the end was fucking amazing. I absolutely love it.
So here's my question: what the fuck did Lee and Alyssa have to do with any of that?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Because they set up this B thing where it's like, let's go get Jin, because now Jin fucked up the world. He's going to help try and save it and defeat Kazuya once and for all. And that's where the story leaves off.
Yeah, because Jin finally wakes up in the final
He was literally unconscious for the whole fucking story.
Exactly. Because here's Jin's whole thing in the 7 story mode. He...
it's off of 6.
After
his Azazel.
Yeah, and he destroys the plane that he was put on.
Yeah.
And... then he goes out in the desert in the Middle East and goes into that one stage. I forgot what it was called in game. It's a different name, but it's like the marketplace. And then
Lars
finds him. You play as Lars in that fight against the dudes. And then they take him, and then and then from that moment
they cut back to him intermittently, but he's unconscious.
He's just unconscious. Yeah, and then the very final cutscene after the after credit scene,
he wakes up.
He wakes up and is in I think his outfit, the his normal outfit in 7, that hoodie.
Yeah,
I believe that's
yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, and
I should have also,
you know,
we should have prefaced this by saying that we're going to spoil the. If there are any Tekken fans that are listening to this,
sorry,
and you haven't, no, because we haven't even gotten to
the other
when
stuff.
blank blanks at the end. We haven't gotten there yet, so spoilers for the ending to because again, I say the ending specifically to the story mode in Tekken 7 because the rest of it is really weird kind of filler leading up to. It sets up some things, sure. It shows that Kazuya and Heihachi have to go back and find each other again to have that final fight. But, yeah, the rest of it was like, here's Lars doing a thing and then he leaves. Claudio comes for a little bit and then leaves and doesn't do much.
Yeah.
He helps Heihachi and Nina for a little bit and then he fucks off. And Alyssa and Lee find each other and she remembers him because he met her in the scenario campaign in 6.
Yeah, which showed.
We didn't get that far to see, so I didn't know.
It was the same because that was with Lee and Lars.
Yes,
because she was trying to remember from whatever happened there.
Because she woke up from something. Yeah, I don't know if the story mode from 6, like if 7 for her picked up from where scenario campaign left off. I don't know.
That's what I think because it showed scenes that I haven't seen from scenario campaign.
Yes, yeah.
So that's where I think with the Alyssa part, that's where 6 was leading into. It was going from wherever it ended from there to in 7.
But then you've got the part where they attempted to explain why the feud started. This is what you literally see when you boot up Tekken 7 and the pictures fly across the screen and you see that the writing and someone's trying to piece it all together. First off, in the story mode, it's a generic as fuck looking weird reporter guy.
Yeah.
No name, you barely see his face. I thought they were going to reveal him to be like, it was so-and-so all along, or it was some other Mishima guy that nobody remembered, or whatever, all along, or some weird shit. Or Kazuma, probably, even. No, he's just some generic reporter guy.
He was a reporter guy that was trying to learn the feud.
I thought he was trying to learn the feud long after all of this shit happened. No, he goes and interviews Heihachi. Mm-hmm. That's where we get the storyline about how he met Akuma, if I remember right. Mainly, more so it's how he met Kazumi.
Yes.
Who is Kazuya's mom.
It was about Heihachi and Kazumi and their thing and like how
she died.
How she died and how how they met up, them having Kazuya and stuff.
So obviously this fucking game is trying to be the one to say, we'll answer your questions, longtime Tekken fans, where you've always said to yourself or to your friends, so how did the Devil Gene get around? Or how did this? Or how did... And none of it still really connects. Yeah. Because if I remember right, again, I have to play 6 again, Azazel had something to do with the Devil Gene because of the orb. Mm. The orb in Devil Jin's ending, even though it's non-canon, is that it takes away his devil powers. Jinpachi, who also had the Devil Gene, in Devil Jin's ending in Tekken 5, absorbs Jinpachi's power and grows into an even more crazier devil form, which kind of freaked me out as a kid. He looks so weird and kind of beastly and black and everything, and all darkened and furry kind of, and
it looked kind of
big ass teeth and fangs, and all like glowing white eyes. It was freaky looking. But it gave him power. Jinpachi's Devil Jin power gave Devil Jin more power.
And
Azazel's takes it away.
Yeah, and in Gonryu's ending, it gives him the Devil Jin.
It was going to give Horong the Devil Jin as well, but he thought back to Jin and said, I'm not like him, and he destroyed the orb before it can give him the power. Mm-hmm. So obviously, Azazel has something to do with the Devil Jin, but I feel like that wasn't fully explored.
And They mentioned that in the beginning of the 7th story mode. They mention Azazel.
Yeah.
And they say Azazel, whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit about.
Nina pronounces it Azazel.
I don't give a shit about how they pronounced it.
I thought it was pronounced Azazel when I first saw the
That's
name.
what I thought too. That's what I thought until they said Azazel. And then
Azazel.
it was like, oh, okay, I guess this is how it's said. And then I've always said it like that. That's how most people say that name, Azazel. That's how they say it. Hearing it as Azazel was like, ugh, what the fuck? But, like, yeah, that was mentioned, too, of, like, they mentioned Azazel, and they mentioned all that stuff from 6. It wasn't fully explored or explained, but it was there, and it's like, okay, or what?
Yeah,
why isn't this explored more?
The story mode sets itself up to try and answer the questions, but they do so, like I said before, I use this descriptor, in such an esoteric way, which means, like, they keep it mysterious to where you need to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it felt kind of weird, because it's like, well, wait, you're setting out to answer these questions. Why aren't you answering them outright and doing some kick-ass reveals and stuff? Also, why'd you throw in Akuma?
Okay.
Why'd you throw in Akuma?
I will say this. Okay, this is where I'm putting okay, hands on the freaking stool over here.
Jesus.
That sounded pretty nice, I know. I swear to God, when they revealed Akuma for 7, and when they said that he had a pivotal part in the story, since then till now, since I've done the story and stuff, I've always been like, there was no need for Akuma in this. You didn't really need to make him part of the story. And I was fucking right, because it's like, here's the justification for Akuma in the story, all right? This is how they justified his ass. He met Kazumi because Kazumi saved his life, apparently.
At some point. Never explained past that.
And then she was like, hey, I want you to kill my husband and son. And then he was like,
sure, why not?
And then he was like, all right, cool. I'll wait till they grow stronger. And he left it at that.
He does.
And that's what he says. And I was like, fuck you. That's stupid. I don't know.
How long ago did that flashback even happen? Where in the timeline did that? She was obviously still alive. So, like, when did that happen? Okay, here's Kazumi's deal in all this. Because it feels like she's the one, like, the key to how the feud started. Which is kind of true, but it's still weird. Because, okay, so her maiden name is Hachijo, right? I'm sorry, Miharu, if I mispronounced that.
No, it's Hachijo. That's
I know, but that's how the English people say it. Well, they kind of, even when they were speaking Japanese, they still said it that way.
But
I'm not going to fully pronounce it the right way, probably. Anyway, apparently, that bloodline, her bloodline, has some weird devil shit.
Because even she has a devil form.
She has a devil form. She's the only female in that family to have a devil form, but it's because she had it before she became a Mishima. Mm-hmm. She didn't get it from the devil gene, as far as I'm aware anyway, because they didn't outright say it.
Because here's the thing, right? When in the flashbacks, when they were like, oh yeah, when Heihachi was talking with the reporter guy and was like, oh yeah, Kazumi would have these moments where she would try to kill him, and then when she would wake up, because she would have like
remember what happened.
She would have a fever or some shit, and then he was like, all right, cool, that's kind of weird that you have this sudden fever, but whatever, I'll take care of you. And then she tries to kill him, and then when she wakes up from whatever coma that is, she doesn't remember.
Her fugue state.
And then when it comes to the part when in the flashback when you fight her as young Heihachi, it's like then that's like her last stand and stuff.
But she also tries to explain why she's out to kill him, why she's doing it, and it still makes no sense.
Yeah, because
she says, we've always been fighting scum like you. What the fuck does that mean? Scum like him? Why did you pick him? What makes him scum? At this point, he hasn't done anything yet to prove that he's out for power or anything, as far as I'm aware anyway. Because Jinpachi wanted to take the Zaibatsu in a different direction. They started with military stuff to help in wars. Jinpachi had something to do with a war or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they tried to kind of deviate away. It was like some weird Tony Stark Iron Man shit. They were trying to get out of the war military kind of program with their company, but Heihachi took it right back in there. And he kind of reinforced the power behind it. And what was the exact reason, again, why he decided... It wasn't so much, as they tend to say, for his reasoning of throwing young kid Kazuya off the cliff. Well, if you're my son and you're truly meant to run the Zaibatsu one day, you'll climb back up. There was an actual reason for it.
The reason why was because
he believed
he speculated that
Kazuya was
had that Kazuya had whatever Kazumi had, and that was the reason why he threw him off the cliff.
And technically he didn't until he made the pact with the devil. That's as much as been confirmed from way back since Tekken 2.
Yeah,
that's why you fight Kazuya first and then Devil.
Because that was Heihachi's speculation after Kasumi died, and he was looking after Kazuya. It was like he probably has that whatever, I guess the devil gene or whatever. Had whatever Kasumi had, because it was like if he climbs back up and survives, that was like okay.
Think about it this way:
he's got cursed blood in him. I'm gonna kill his ass.
I mean. With all this logic and this revelation, if Heihachi was wrong, he'd just straight up kill his kid. At the age of 5. But, like, that leads into the issue with the storytelling that a lot of stuff tends to fall into. A lot of legacy stuff, a lot of whatever stuff tends to fall into this. They're doing the thing where they're trying to revisit their old storylines, and then they're trying to kind of, like, not so much as shoehorn, but pepper in these new things into those old storylines
to make them
to try and make everything
justified.
Kind of come back around full circle. When at the time they made 2 and 3 and all that, Kazumi Mishima and all of this shit, the devil gene, was not a thought in their minds in the slightest. No, there's no devil anything in the first game.
Let's say, and
no, I lie. There's a bit because he does have that power. It's not really... Okay, this is the part where I have to be honest now. I never really got to see Devil in Tekken 1. He is there. But I don't... If I remember right anyway, I think he is in Tekken 1. But he's the most prominent, and everyone knows him, if you're a long-standing Tekken fan, from 2. That's where he's the final boss. And... When I say those still stands, that none of that stuff about this bloodline and Kazumi... Okay, the one thing they did do, if I remember right, that character, I don't know if it's kanji or if it might be kanji, where it says Heihachi and Kazumi, it's engraved on the floor in Heihachi's dojo. That is there in the original Tekken 2. That is there, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So maybe they were like, okay, it's a name. We can speculate that it's Kazuya's mom. Because whatever.
Because then there had to have been like, okay, well then.
But none of the stuff they tried to write into the story for Tekken 7 was thought up for the earlier games. None of it was. So when they try to go back and revisit this and try and justify it all, not that it necessarily, it kind of creates plot holes. It's just very weird. It was just very weird.
It was just
and
done.
It still doesn't manage to answer the burning questions. You know? So, like... A lot of what they seem to have already established with the older games, I think is really all you needed. The part that I think we can take away from it is that Kazumi did kind of help elevate the bloodline with the devil stuff, but she is by far not the one who started it, because Kazuya still made a deal with the devil. That's been said way before Tekken 7 happened. So if that, like I said, wasn't a thing, then it had to hinge on him having Kazumi's power, which they don't even outright say that he does. He probably has some predetermined or pre-established link before having Devil's power, But Devil is what helped him crawl back up, climb back up. Not necessarily Kazumi's power. Because they never touch on that. The fucking movie, the anime movie, touches on the link with the devil, not any kind of mother. Like, no. Funny too, because, I mean, the first trailer for Tekken 7, everyone's speaking English. It's the only time you hear Kazuya speak English outside of in game form, outside of the anime or the live action movie or even Blood Vengeance. But anyway, I don't know. I did like it. Of course, it hit me the most when those nostalgic moments came into play.
Same.
But
Hell, even when even during the fight when Kazuya transformed into his devil form, like the one in this that was using the story mode, then he transformed again into the movie version
into
of his
Blood
devil
Vengeance.
form, which was like, holy fuck! I didn't think that would be.
That's just
you know.
Devil's blood. That's just Devil's look now, I guess. Because it's really weird as to why it was in that. Yeah, the Blood Vengeance version of Devil Kazuya and Devil Jin they're playable in the prologue version, so the demo version of Tag 2, but they're not in the game proper. They're not in the final game.
Yeah, no.
Which is very bizarre. And I thought that was all just weird, dumb movie shit for the film. No, that's just what those devil forms look like now at their full power. And I was like,
yeah, that's just canon,
that's
I guess.
yeah, it's canon, and that's weird. I was like, well, I want to see, like, because that was my other thing. I was asking you days ago when we finished that story mode. I was like, why is it now that it's just, they don't even refer to Devil as Devil anymore. It's just Devil Kazuya, because he's still dressed, but he's in his devil form. But then you told me, and I had to remember, like, oh yeah, well, in 4, he absorbed the rest of the devil's power from Jin. Now, whether or not that was actually, that part of it was canon,
yeah, I don't know. In Kazuya's ending, that's I guess that's the justification of him having the one red eye, was like that.
No. The red eye happened. Oh, what are you talking about?
Let's say
the third eye or his red eye?
Red eye.
No, his red eye happened when he was brought back from G Corp, when they revived him.
Oh, because
he was like literally dying between. That's why he's not in 3, because when he was thrown off the volcano or into the volcano in 2. That's why it starts off like that in 4, and then he comes back, and in his intro, the Colossus announcer says that it's G Corp that brought him back. That's why he works for G Corp, and then I think he later like either tries to overtake it or overthrow it or backstab them. I don't fucking remember. Everyone's backstabbing each other in the Tekken series.
Because in that instance with in Kazuya's ending, Devil takes control of him. And is like, okay, that he has my other half of the power, and I want to absorb it. He can't. I forgot. Or Kazuya takes control of Devil's power.
He is able, because he was never able to control it in those first few entries.
Yeah, and then when you fight Jin and defeat him, then he absorbs that Jin's Devil Gene powers.
But again, Jin still obviously has the Devil Gene in him. So whether or not that was actually canon, I don't know.
No, the canon ending, at least from 4, was
Jin's, but Kazuya didn't get the power. He was knocked out. 5's intro picks up from Jin's ending in 4, and they're both unconscious and they wake back up.
Yeah.
Heihachi and Kazuya is after Jin busts through the roof, and that comes into the whole thing of how I said those weird changes, small, and some of the changes, some of the issues I have with Tekken as a whole, kind of, they're small. Again, like Brian's laugh, Yoshimitsu's voice, the smaller text because it's PS3 and 4 and 5. Certain things like in Tag 2, making here's Ogre, here's True Ogre.
Oh god.
Now True Ogre is known as just Ogre, and the green Aztec Ogre is now called Ancient Ogre. Why they did that, I don't fucking know. It's weird shit like that that just it's bizarre, and I don't understand it.
I just thought, because I was thinking back to Akuma and Heihachi's fight in the story mode, and I think that moment had to have been from 6.
Which one?
Or somewhere. When Akuma goes to kill Heihachi when you're playing as Akuma and all that stuff. When it's like, who is this character? I don't fucking know. In that fight, like, I think it was before they both started brawling, or it might have been after. That was when all the Jacks came in, and that was Jack 6 that came in. So I think that moment, which I guess was a flashback or something, had to have been sometime during 6 or
I
after
guess
6.
so.
Because then there's the moment when it shows Tekken 5 when the shit blew up the building and whatnot, you're fighting Jack 4 and stuff. So that's where I'm like, these are the only 2 Jacks you cannot play in this game at all. Besides, these are the only Jacks that appear in these moments in this game, and they're not mentioned anywhere else. So it's like, that's where I think that event was happening, was like during 6.
I don't know. All I know is that.
But again, there's no.
I was looking forward to the questions being answered, seeing the nostalgic stuff, which I did get. That was the one part that I could say was the massive plus, seeing how it did come full circle and just visually how everything was coming full circle and seeing those flashbacks and everything. But the general storytelling falls into that weird Tekken thing where it's just like, well,
it's kind of left up in the air, and it's
kind of. Then what was the point? That's the part where I go, what was the point?
My whole deal surrounds fucking. I heard too much with Akuma being in the game, and it's like
He's on there for that long.
I don't care that Akuma's in the game. My issue is that they shoehorned him in the story. That's exactly
that was my fear.
was.
I did a video on Destination Mark with that fear, and it came true.
Yeah, and it's just like. I would not have a big issue with Akuma in Tekken if he was just like a Lisa and was a free DLC character from day one.
Yeah,
and was just a guest character.
Because it's their silly wink nudge to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, or in this case Tekken Cross Street Fighter.
Yeah, because it's like he's the only Street Fighter character that has appeared in the games since. Well,
seeing as Tekken Cross Street Fighter is never going to happen.
I mean, yeah. So it's like there you go.
But then you get the weird deal because we never mentioned that too. I'm sorry to cut you off real quick, but keep that thought in mind so you can come back to it. Tekken 7 is the first game to do guest characters, and it's fucking weird. Like how you mentioned Negan way before, like what fucking. That's Mortal Kombat's thing. That's Soul Calibur's thing. Tekken did not need to do that. The only other time they did it was with Gon. And Gon was just a fucking weird, out of nowhere, silly ass guest character in 3 that, like, I don't even mind it. And he still somehow manages to oddly fit in with that roster and that art style.
It was just a little tiny animal with boxing gloves.
Makes much sense as having Roger and Alex. Yeah, exactly.
They're animals with boxing gloves.
But no, we've got Noctis, whatever. What do you call him?
Nocturnal Luscious Calcium.
That still makes me laugh. From Final Fantasy, and then you've got fucking Negan from Walking Dead,
and then you've got Geese Howard from Fatal Fury.
At least that sort of. That's a fucking stream. That's a Smash Brothers thing.
I'd say Geese Howard is the most.
To do
it fit. That one fit. I was like, okay, I see Geese Howard with this. But
it's still something. I mean, with Ryu, with fighting game icons like Ryu and Terry and even Kazuya being in Smash Brothers, it's still weird as shit. But it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
but for Tekken to never have done that before, put in guest characters, and they just felt this was the one we're gonna do it.
I'll say
it was so weird.
It was weird with those choices, but even then, most of the other DLC characters were legacy characters like Lei and Anna.
Because that's what I mentioned Lei in our verses where I was like, why does he look this way? And they always flip flop between him having a thick Chinese accent or an American accent. And same with Law. I don't think Law ever had an accent if I remember right. Every time we've heard him talk, he mainly has an American accent. It's still weird as shit to hear.
Yeah.
But it's just. Oh, Tekken does bizarre things sometimes. It's just, for as illogical as the series is, because it's silly, but I love it for that. The parts that they want you to know, the parts they want to make sense still make sense, and that's where it's weird.
Yeah, because I was gonna say earlier with Akuma is like, my issue with Akuma in 7 is not the fact that he's a playable character. If he was just a DLC playable character or was part of the DLC roster for them releasing characters, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't have given the shit. I would have been like, okay, that's cool. There's your nod for Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Whatever. They made him work. My issue comes from the fact that they put him as part of the story, which means which means that Street Fighter is canon to Tekken.
It's canon,
or it's somewhere canon in the story, and it's like, why? I get the crossover because that was like, okay, these are two big fighting game franchises, and they're having a crossover. Fine, whatever. That was the start of that. There was a justification for it. Whatever. It was cool. I am one of those people, those few that like Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Like as a concept, the gameplay's fine too, but like as a concept, it's cool.
It's a fun game, and it has its ups and downs. Because
we weren't religiously following him with the gems and all that crap and the on this DLC shit.
I was just like,
we weren't following that stuff.
Yeah,
we didn't know about it.
This is a good game.
That part about it was shitty. The non-disc stuff and all that nonsense, but the game itself isn't. It's harmless.
So yeah, the game itself is fine. I want to revisit it whenever we can, but
eventually we'll do a versus on it probably.
I was gonna say, but with 7, I know that
there was just no reason for him to be the one that they put in this role.
Yeah, because
there was no reason.
Because it's like it's like he. When you play the story and he is like, he mentions Kazumi and Heihachi's like, how do you know that name? And he's like,
they flashback to it,
and
but
he's
that
like,
flashback,
hold
on, that flashback is how they introduced. Because trailer opens up, we don't know it's Tekken quite yet, or actually no, we do. I think we do. I think that's how they showed off in Evo. They were like, we've got a surprise for you. Trailer starts. And it's the temple, and Kazumi's there. So immediately, bam, heavy-hitting character. Fucking Kazuya's mom right there. Doors open, fucking silhouette emerges. But that trailer doesn't answer who that is. So we're like, who the fuck is that? And I'm over here like, who the fuck is that? This is going to be big. Then the next trailer comes out that shows off Akuma proper. They do that again. Then they cut to the other angle, and it's on the floor in its shadow, and they pan up, and it's Akuma, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It just made no sense.
I was shocked
and appalled.
I was shocked, but then I was like blown away, but for the wrong reason, because then I was like, because then I was like,
well, we didn't go Super Smash Brothers like we do with 3DS on it, but we were like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, I was like,
why is this?
Well,
why is he here?
Well, I was just kind of like, I was sitting there, I'm looking at it, I'm just like,
in confused silence.
Yeah, I was like, is he part of the story, or is he just like a? Or
well, I was thinking, cousin like that. Like, of course he was going to be. Like, I already knew. I was like,
well, the way I was thinking it was like Smash Brothers, where I thought it was just a cinematic trailer where it showed a Tekken character, and then it says, okay, here's Akuma as guest character.
Yeah.
And I thought he was solely going to be guest character. When they said that he was going to be part of the story,
because I was afraid.
Later.
Yeah.
I got afraid because I was like, how involved is he? And then you play it, and he's not even involved at all.
How much like weird Street Fighter shit are they going to try to shoehorn?
And then,
just so Harada can justify, hey, look, I kind of worked on a little bit of a Street Fighter, a Tekken Crush Street Fighter thing going on here.
No, because here's
what it feels like.
Yeah, but here's the other thing: when you finish the story, when you go through all 14 chapters, and you watch the credits and the after credit scene. There's a bonus chapter. Where Kazuya, in his movie devil form, fights Akuma. Akuma comes back because that battle takes place immediately after Kazuya throws Heihachi off the cliff into the lava.
Again, spoilers. Heihachi dies.
Yeah, hopefully for real this time.
As we say, because that motherfucker will not die. None of them will die.
I was saying, none of them will die.
Jack 4 exploded in his face.
And he survived
and
that.
And he went, pew, like a cartoon character. and landed somewhere, and he was alive.
Yeah.
So hopefully lava does the trick this time. But that'll open up.
But
I mean, this podcast is already almost on 2 hours,
I don't know.
and we're going to this is going to take years to render.
I know.
So let's just go a little bit further. A little bit longer.
So there's the bonus chapter where Akuma comes in, and then there's that fight. And that fight, to me, because it's just a bonus chapter, I don't know if it's canon or not. I think it is, but I don't know if it's actually canon or not.
But
I feel that fight, when you play that fight, I feel like that was their whole thing of being like, let's make Akuma like Street Fighter, where he fucking goes around and is hard to hit and whatnot. And I swear to God, when you fight him, you have to use the freaking you have to press L1, and L1 brings up the easy combos, and you have to use that. That's what I used to beat him. The thing was that the only thing I didn't know was that when he uses his rage art to try and kill you, you have to immediately press R1 or whatever, if you know how to do it with the buttons and directions and whatnot. You have to immediately use your rage art to get him, and that's how you beat him.
Yeah.
And the final cutscene in that is them blasting whatever, like Akuma throws a fireball, whatever. Kazuya does the laser beam, that explodes, and everything around them explodes, and that's it. That's all you fucking get.
The epic
and
clash.
That's how the bonus chapter ends. And it's like...
So now we're coming into the part of the podcast where we talk about what we can see for the future of Tekken.
Yeah.
And that's one question where it's like, if this is canon...
If Akuma is canon...
is Akuma just going to replace Heihachi?
I don't know.
The bloodline part of it's no longer there, but now Kazuya's found a new rival. Jin's now been reinvigorated to go after his father. Now we're doing a kind of legacy thing again because Kazuya's always been after his father. That's been the whole thing since the early Tekkens. Kind of fell off the map for a little bit by like 5, 6, whatever, sort of. But it's really prominent here because they made it really prominent. That's what the whole game's based off of. Mm-hmm. So now that Heihachi's dead, seemingly for good this time, I'm curious to see if they do a Tekken 8, the Mishima part of it's gone, because Kazuya, if Heihachi's truly dead, Kazuya is now the last of the Mishimas. He's the last. Everyone's dead. If you go into like the Tekken 3, because so this is how weird Tekken 7 went into trying to justify everything. When you go into the cinematics for each game, you'll find the cutscenes, you'll find the intros, you'll find the endings, you'll find everything. You'll also find per game a Tekken 7 specific not reenactment, but like breakdown from the perspective of certain characters like Jin or Kazuya or Heihachi of how those events occurred.
Hell, even in those little movies and stuff, they kind of tell you what character endings are canon to the story. Like how in 4, Jin's is the canon ending because that's how 5 starts, and in 3, Jin's is also canon because when you click on that movie and whatnot, it shows Jin's ending when Heihachi fucking shoots him point blank, and then he turns into Devil Jin, and doesn't remember that moment. But that's what you see is right before Heihachi shoots his ass from behind him. Because with that whole thing was Heihachi wanted Ogre's power and all that, and he wanted to. The tournament was based off of whoever could defeat Ogre and stuff.
So he could swoop in and collect the body and get whatever he needed. Yeah,
so with Jin, that's what he tried to shoot him, so that way they could take him. But then when Heihachi walks away, you see the bodyguard guy flying, and then he's in his devil form.
Because again, Tekken 4 started the whole, okay, now characters are talking, now these cutscenes feel like cutscenes. in the endings, the characters can now emote more and talk and share their thoughts, and you can hear what they're saying. Tekken's 1 through 3 didn't do that. They were like little silent films.
Yeah.
Tekken 7 tried to justify things like that. And again, how esoteric the series can be, they still don't quite... I guess they do, but Katsuhiro Harada himself doesn't make it clear if June is still dead in canon. Because as far as we're aware, she's missing. But then in Tekken 7, when we were looking at the stuff, I went back through 3's little Tekken 7 rendition of how it all happened, and Jin himself says, because in the manual, again, back then in the day, if you wanted the full story, you needed to look in the manual for the games. You had to go online for what little there was online to figure out what the story, the overarching stuff was. So 7 tries to now, in their own weird little way, justify it. And Jin himself does say that he believes Ogre killed his mom, killed June. Because there is a part in the intro where he holds up a severed head, and then it keeps cutting back to Jin, and it cuts back to Ogre, and it cuts back to Jin, and he's got the devil power. But Harada says it's not, she's missing. She's not, I don't know if he's ever explicitly said she's not dead, but he keeps beating around he keeps like Ed Booning it. He keeps like, well, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. And it's like, well, if you're not going to give us an answer and the game's not going to give us an answer, why keep bringing that stuff up? Because my whole thing is like, there are certain bits that I feel, especially in the story mode for 7, weren't taken full advantage of. You started introducing from as early on as like, what, 4 or 5 maybe, other characters that are kind of related in different ways to the Mishima family. Not the bloodline, but the family, and Kazama family. Because it was Kazumi Hachijo and Heihachi Mishima that birthed Kazuya Mishima. Kazuya Mishima and Jun Kazama had Jin Kazama. Somewhere along the line, I guess Jun has a sibling that also boinged someone, and we've got Asuka Kazama, who's Jin's cousin, but she has literally fucking nothing to do with any of that business.
Yeah.
She's too busy fighting Lily in every single game. So it's like, then you've got Lars, who like is semi-involved, but then he just fucks right off when things start to get interesting. And it's like, where do you stand in this fucking line of everyone fighting each other in this family tree? Because he's like Kazuya's half-brother, and then Lee Chaolan is Kazuya's adopted brother, because Heihachi adopted him, I think. And sometimes he'll come in and fuck with them, but he doesn't have anything to do with any of that shit either. And I guess his reasoning for being in the story for 7 is to help Jin at the end.
That's what it is. That's what it seemed like to me, because it was
Lars.
It was Lars, Lee, and Alyssa. They were the ones that were there, and then it was Jin.
Like, I want to know why. I mean, Jun, again, with Kazuya being the cursed one of the family because it's the Mishimas and the Kazama stuff, the Kazama part of the Mishima bloodline where the devil gene continues is through Jin. Solely through Jin.
Yes.
Because it's non-canon that Jun is unknown, but because Unknown has Jin's tattoo. And it's like, why does she have that? He got that because he was branded by Devil. Devil came to him because he needed the power to defeat Ogre. Because he trained under Heihachi, which the Tekken 7 version of the story shows and talks about through Jin's own perspective, because he's narrating that part of the story. But like, when it comes to Unknown, again, it's non-canon, but like, why make those connections for it to not lead to anything? Because Jun's always shown as a force of good. In his devil form, in 4, he's gonna strike Heihachi. He has him by the collar, and he sees Jun, and that stops him. And
'Cause
that's when he
say-
goes up, and then the
Yeah.
white feather comes down, and
Yeah,
it's like,
'cause the last
why
thing-
don't we see more of that?
Yeah, because the last thing he says in that scene, it says,
Thank my mother for sparing your fucking ass.
Yeah,
Like but like I want more of that.
and you know what else is funny? In Tag 2, in
He sees a
Devil Jin,
vision!
in Tag 2, in Devil Jin's ending, he flies up into space
And he sees June.
and sees Jun, and then he falls back to Earth
So I
on a
guess
beach.
he's dead.
But
But
it's like,
Harada keeps playing coy with that fact or that topic because people were like, well, if June, because we haven't seen June since Tag 1. Before Tag 2, Tag 1 was the last time we really saw her. I mean, I got to play as her and her have some part of some kind of story, right? And so with that in mind, people were like, okay, 7, new canon game? Cool. Will June be in it? Because will that be the one that finally kind of shows us if she's actually alive or not? No. It's, I don't know. And Asuka being a Kazama, again, it makes sense why she has nothing to do with any of the Bloodline stuff because she probably, I don't know, she's like pure Kazama with no real Mishima ties. But I feel they could have done something with her.
Even I guess in
She has like zero interest in Jin at all.
Yeah, no.
Why
but
he's
it's
a winged man. Why his face accidentally fell into her boobs. None of it's really questioned. It's all played for comedy.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
And then also, I believe Asuka's fighting style in the game is Kazuma style.
Yeah.
Like that's just what it's called.
It's like they try to make her a Jin successor while Jin's still there.
Yeah.
So they try to put the whole casual Kazama thing onto her because Jin was kind of a casual Kazama the way Jun was in Tekken 2. Tekken 3, Jin was like her replacement. And then, because again, even with the Mishima part of it in Tekken 1, Kazuya was very kind of casual, sort of. He didn't, that bloodline stuff and all that nonsense didn't really happen yet. They weren't thinking that far ahead with it. They sprinkled a bit of it in for that supernatural kind of sci-fi feeling, but that was their way of, instead of doing power things and beams, some of that is there, but it comes from these supernatural characters, and the bloodline and devil stuff is where that started. Fine. But when you're going to do an entry that's supposed to end all of that and tie up loose ends, they didn't really. They just kind of said, okay, Kazumi had something to do with it, maybe, and Hachi dies. It's about all we could take away from that.
Yeah. So then to go back on the whole thing of if there's another Tekken game,
Where can it go? Yeah.
What direction is it going to go in, and
tell the
what can it
podcast
do?
how you told it to me.
The way I saw a new entry was hopefully having was at least being like, okay, Heihachi is actually dead this time, and that ending is like the ending for the story mode is like that's how Heihachi is out of the story now. But then it has this thing of they ended off with Jin has to now go and defeat Kazuya because it's like, oh, Jin
because
Jin
they
put
had
the
their
world
own
to
thing
shit,
too.
and now he has to go and save it, and also kill his father.
Well, because now if anything canon is now to be believed, not necessarily with Akuma's part of it, with that extra chapter, but since he does turn into movie Devil Kazuya, and that's him at his full power in devil form, that means he is now this supernatural entity. Oh, mind you, another part of the story is Heihachi leaking this shit out to the public, which is why he talks to that generic reporter, because he's like, we need to expose my son for what he's become. I don't have this fucking shit. It's not me that has, which it's like, okay, also too, why doesn't he have any power? Because Jinpachi is his father.
And yeah, Jinpachi has the devil
And he
gene.
has the devil gene. See how like nothing makes sense? Who was Heihachi's mother? I don't fucking know. That raggedy old bitch has nothing to do with this, apparently. So, It skipped a generation. Fucking, that's the only thing I can think of because the game won't tell me. So now Kazuya is this supernatural entity, and the whole world knows it thanks to Heihachi. Now he's at his full power. Now he's the threat. He is now the villain of the series. Mm-hmm. Like, he was always like, I'm doing shitty things throughout other games. Mm-hmm. Now he's the villain. That's what it seems like it's telling me. Jin can now kind of be redeemed for people who thought he was real shitty for 6.
Yeah, for starting the war on the world.
And again, that wasn't even because he was trying to be evil. He was trying to seek out Azazel for whatever the fuck. Because again, 6 was weird. I don't remember. But now Jin can potentially become... It's just weird when they're, in their own unique way, semi-quote-unquote unlikable. It's hard to follow them when they've all done... to root for them when they've all done shitty things. So, like...
Yeah.
I just hope that they can make Jin be like, you know what? Fuck all this. I just want the world to be a better place. So fuck you, Dad. You're gonna die. Like, if they just do that for it, the continuing story for a Tekken 8 or whatever, sure, why not?
And I will say that if they are going to keep Akuma canon for the story purposes,
I personally and honestly hope they don't, but
I hope they don't, but because of how the story went and how it ended and what they introduced for it and what they said and was
set up.
Yeah, what was set up, I think Akuma would be in this new game, but for the purpose,
you need to answer
of, like,
more shit with him.
It's like
because okay,
they need to justify.
Here's why. Sorry, here's why. Because in that first trailer, again, the English-speaking trailer, he doesn't even say this in the final fight in the game, but it's him and Heihachi, and they're confronting one another, and he says, "You killed my mother." Now, we were led to assume, and it is true in the story, that he has no other information to go off of. So if he's truly curious as to how this stuff started and what his mom had to do with it all, he can probably, depending on how much Akuma knows Kazumi, get it from him. Maybe, if that's what they decide to do. That's too much, and that's going to have to include... That's going to have a whole other story mode for a Tekken 8 to justify all this shit that this game should have done, but yeah, I can see it going down that route if Akuma had to stay.
I'll say, because...
Apparently he knows her. She saved his life. How? When? What were the circumstances? I don't fucking know, but that's what's been established, so...
Yeah, so that's where I'm like... If there's another, like, with a story and stuff with this of where it's gonna go, I don't know. I want there to be those justifications. I want to see how it's explained of how Kazumi had how Kazumi had the devil gene, or at the very least, like,
just leave it at my bloodline. We were meant to stop, like, what? Like, because they say the Mishimas come from, they were warriors, like straight warriors back in the day. That's the part that Jinpachi kind of comes from. Mm-hmm. But then he wanted to kind of stop it. I think that's what it was, how Heihachi explained it. But Heihachi wanted to kind of keep that going. That's why he's so hard on Kazuya. And in turn, Kazuya was, I guess, hard on Jin, or just kind of dismissed Jin, or whatever the fuck. But, like, that's why they're so kind of fucked. That's probably why they're just so fucked up. But,
Let's say, yeah. So it's like, I want there to be reasoning and explanations for Kazumi and her role and how... like her part and how
she got that power.
Yeah, one
because no devil form has ever looked like her.
Yeah, which I mean,
and she's the only female to have this power.
Yeah, and I mean, she looks cool, but
she does. Yes.
One is how she got that power. Two, what the Hachijo family is like. What that whole business is.
Because there's not even any other characters in other Tekkens with that last name.
I'll say, yeah.
To even try to throw a little bit of that in there, if they really wanted to think ahead, if they're going to put the kanji on the floor in 2, and then show that it's still there in 7, like, I don't know where they started to think about this plot line. It must have been when they started production on 7, but you can tell the storyline was made this Tekken 7 storyline was made for Tekken 7. It is not necessarily them thinking like Marvel, like, we're going to make an Avengers movie and then we're going to go beyond that. And it's like a 10-year long-term fucking plan from that you're thinking way ahead. That's not what this is. But that's what they're trying to make it feel like.
Yeah.
And it's weird because they're writing themselves into certain plot lines and stuff, at least in terms of right now. So, yeah, for a new game, they're going to have to either do some more legacy shit and kind of keep this off to the side and make way for other stories. Because if you're going to do Jin going after Kazuya and Kazuya learning about his mother from Akuma or whatever that's going to be like, or just straight going after Akuma because now they're rivals, whatever, then is it really the end of the bloodline of the story? Not really. So that's where it gets weird.
Yeah, and then also, again, like how you were saying earlier, if Akuma is to stay, at least for story purposes, justify his reasoning. Actually give him a reason to be there.
Is he not in Street Fighter Land?
Say, yeah, exactly.
Where's
it's like,
Ryu during all this?
right? Because then you start thinking that. You're like, okay, well then,
where's Dalsim and Ibuki and Jury?
You know, but it's like, it's there because Akuma's there. And it's like, okay, well now he's part of the canon story.
Now
and
tell me why this character from this other video game franchise is in this video game franchise.
Exactly. And it's
and
like...
it's story.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, that's what threw me off when I saw him. And they said that, and I was like, this makes no sense. Because, and even then when you see it, and I was like, I was fucking right. Because it's like, they didn't justify him. Or at least when they tried... It doesn't work.
It still just trails off.
It was stupid, actually. Because, again...
I was waiting for you to go stronger.
I was waiting for you to get stronger.
I know my mother. She helped me once.
Exactly.
Okay,
and
thanks, one sentence man.
Yeah, and it's like, you know...
Not that I have to dedicate too much time to it, but still, it's like...
Because it's like...
Well, maybe they could have. Because this story mode is actually kind of short. You can get through it in like 2 or 3 hours.
You can literally spend an entire day doing it, and that's how short it is. Because
well, again,
it's just
2 or 3 hours.
Because then there are some chapters intermittently that are thrown in there, and there's no battle or anything. It's just more story. And that's all it really is. And it's just like a few lines of dialogue, and then it's, okay, next chapter. But it's like, you know, with Akuma, it's like... Here's just this entirely different character that has an entirely other different purpose in this other franchise, and now he's being put in this franchise for this reason, and it's not even because all it was like it was a promise. He was just like, because he was just like, I owe a debt for Kazumi because she saved my life once.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, cool. When and how and why, like, because then there was nothing there, and it was just like it felt rushed, or not rushed. It felt shoehorned in, and it was just
lazy.
It was like there's nothing there, and so it's like I can't exactly feel a lot when there's not much to chew on at all.
Exactly. I was just about to say those exact points.
It's like it makes no sense. So that's why with this new game, it's like please have those justifications and those explanations. And have it make sense, because if it still doesn't, then there's something wrong there in the storytelling process.
So there's like this thing that I guess Namco try to file some kind of thing for like this idea for a new game they're doing, which people are speculating it could be a new Tekken, where it's supposed to help newcomers try and learn moves like an Evo player. And it's trying to get you to learn how to, like... It's not... Because, like I said, how we would just look off the combos list and the move list and stuff. So it's kind of like that, but way more intuitive. So, point being, not that part of it. It's the part that it might be for a new Tekken. Because Tekken 7 doesn't have anything like that. Mm-hmm. So, if there is a new Tekken, then, yeah, I would like some... If they're going to do more story or whatever... Also, please make arcade mode like an actual thing that matters. Because, dear Lord, we're not going to talk much longer because I swear this is going to take eons to render and put out there onto YouTube. Because this is by far our longest podcast. Uh-huh. But, and trust me, we could go on for way longer, but we're not. Arcade modes just declines really heavily. Like, endings, make no sense sometimes. a lot more of them are played up for comedy.
Yeah,
Where you don't think they would have been.
Yeah.
Because you can get such a serious ending for Paul, like in 4, and then in 6, he's accidentally taking laxatives on a pizza. And it's like, this is weird. And then again, in 7, once you beat the story, then you can do this other part.
The character episodes.
Where you do character episodes. It's one fight, you get the ending, and a lot of them are fucking weird.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
Like it's like that's your
and they're
like,
too short.
There's your arcade like endings. If you have to go
mode,
through the character episodes.
Because the arcade mode, the proper arcade mode, while it's there, is only like 5 fights long or 6, and then you fight Devil Kazumi at the end.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Or I think it changes. Depending on the character because
probably. But most of them are.
Sometimes it's Akuma, sometimes it's
Devil Kazumi.
Yeah, Devil Kazumi.
But that's pretty much Tekken.
Yeah.
There's a lot to chew on, especially with how 7 ended.
Mm-hmm.
Because my whole thing before, when you told me about, well, they could probably do this, or they could probably do this for a new game, that was when you had beaten it before me.
Yes.
So my mentality before experiencing this remote for myself was, well, maybe they can just kind of phase out Kazuya and Jin, but now it seems like they're putting them more into the spotlight with the way that the story actually ended.
Mm-hmm.
So
because after I beat this,
I don't know.
After I beat the story, I was like,
Yeah, you just kind of sat there and were like,
yeah, I was like,
what's this going to lead to?
Yeah.
How do they top this?
Yeah.
How do they continue this?
Yeah. As I was going along, I was like, okay, where's the story going now? Because with all these things like we've talked about for the past 2 hours, it's like, you know, there's gotta be at least more to it than whatever they put in 7, because, well, again, like how you're saying, 7 story, like visually and doing all that stuff, it's good. I do like it.
Tekken 7's still an awesome game.
The song for the final battle with Kazuya and Heihachi.
Oh yeah, it's good.
That shit is fucking. And here, the thing was, I've heard that song before I played the story mode.
I never did.
Because I heard it in a Lytheros video because he used that song for a thing for one of his, like, I think for Dragon Ball Fighters.
Nice.
And I didn't know it came from Tekken. So when I got to that battle and I heard that song, I was like, I was like, oh shit, this is the song. And just hearing it in game, and as you're fighting
again, you're fighting him, that song's playing, and it's intermittently when you smack him, it'll go in slow-mo, and then bam, you get these flashbacks of like 1 through 3, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I felt hit. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And yes, I'll praise the fuck out of the ending on how that went with Kazuya and Heihachi.
It was good.
But in terms of what they presented for the story,
what they felt like they were setting up to answer while not quite answering it.
It was
outright.
it was when I was witnessing all that. I was listening to it.
They promised answers. We got insight.
Yes.
Not answers.
Yeah.
We got an insight as to how certain things went down.
Insight and more questions.
Yeah.
Like what we've been saying.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's why I'm just like, that's why I could not wait to do this podcast, because I was just like, I need to tell this to you. I was like,
this stuff out.
Yeah, because it's like I have these fucking questions and I want to say all this stuff.
I do too, yeah.
And now that we're here, it's like, that's like how we've been going for 2 hours. It's like there's stuff there.
The fact that,
and there's all there's the insights and stuff, but there's no answers, and it's like, where is it going to go now? What's the thing that they're going to grasp on, and what's the thing they're going to focus on?
What's the pull factor now?
Yeah.
The fact that Tekken's even making us think these things in the first place is really fucking mind-boggling in like the best way. Because again, story modes and stuff in earlier games was, oh no, Nina stole Anna's shoe. And we went from that to this. Like, what? We went from, oh no, Roger's a deadbeat dad, to this. Like, a lot of it's non-canon, I know, but still it's in those canon games.
I know.
So that's the way their story ends when they win the tournament. And it's like, oh my god. Oh. I love Tekken. What do you guys think of Tekken? Are you a fan? If you are, hopefully, because we spoiled a lot of shit from the story in 7.
That's
but
I know for a fact that people have played a lot, played 7, especially when it came out, and were playing the story mode. So I'm just like, what are other people's reactions to the story? Like,
I'm going to start looking up reactions.
If they know the story and like how we've been talking about it, if they can at least
they have
know
big reactions to it. That's why I wanted to stream it, but at the same time,
I even told you I was like we should stream it, but then
we never did, and I didn't know how long it was going to be. So
yeah, then I was like, well, we could just
play it
since we
on our off time.
Yeah, like since you were like, let's do this podcast, I was like, well.
We should play
we could just,
7 story.
Yeah, we could just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then do it for a thing like this.
Because I got as far as Jin in the Desert, and then I stopped playing 7 for a while, and then we came back to it and prepped for this podcast.
Yeah, we actually
did the whole story mode in that day.
Yeah, we had to format the save because of some dumb shit. But it gave us a fresh start, especially for him, because then I was like, okay, let's see what he thinks of this part. Let's see what he thinks of this. Because I was waiting, because again, I was like,
I'm sure
I want to talk about this stuff, but I can't because it's spoilers. But I was like, this was discussion worthy. It was like, where's it going to go? What are these things? Questions and answers.
Thus, a 2.5-hour edition of the VidGames podcast.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot, man. There's a lot there to digest, and it's just where it's the basic question is, where is it going now? Where is it? What's the direction now? And that's all really is. We're just gonna wait and see.
And we usually tend to. I mean, I don't want the VidGames podcast to end up going into a formula, but we've kind of done that where we've done. Here's our nostalgic beginnings. Here's what we think of like the middle/current era. What's next? For the series, because we did it with Smash Brothers, we did it for Banjo, kind of in Mortal Kombat a little bit with me and Wes, but yeah, I just whatever they put out for Tekken, I'm gonna be there for. Tekken is there for me, for us, next to Crash, next to the way I always say it. It's true. If these last 2.5 hours did not prove it, I don't know what will. I've streamed Tekken. We've done versus videos here. Those streams are up on Destination Mark, so like I love Tekken. I have all the mainline regular console versions of the games, all for PlayStation consoles. We have 1 through 7, Tag 1 and 2. We've got Tekken Advance. We have Prime 3D Prime Edition. We're into Tekken. I have Death by Degrees. I haven't beaten it. I haven't beaten it. It's a weird fucking game. But I do own Death by Degrees. I rented it years ago, and I was like, this is a weird fucking game. Remembered it years later, and finally bought it off Amazon, and I own it now. I'm a proud owner of the Nina spinoff.
Hell, I'm even looking over right here. You even have the statue.
I pre-ordered Tekken 7, where you get Eliza and a bunch of other shit in-game, and you get the statuette of Heihachi and Kazuya fighting each other. And it's dope.
Yeah,
so
it looks cool. Just seeing Heihachi right over there.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
that was a lot to unpack. But to the next time, and we will do more stuff. I was thinking about doing an update video on the channel, which I still might, but I'll also say it in this particular podcast for whatever, no good reason. We're on the 6th episode of the podcast now. I've been thinking about this and talking about it with the guys, mainly with you, Vic, and we're thinking of course it's the VidGames podcast, it's video games, we're going to stay on games as a huge pushing point for this podcast. Once we hit the 10th episode and that one's up on the channel, from there on out, we'll be doing games, but I want to unlock the podcast topics to more media. So we can, because hell, ironically, the first episode wasn't even on any Mario game. It was on the movie.
Yeah.
So
the
upcoming film coming this year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because we're in 2022 now.
Oh my god.
I can't fucking wait for the first trailer.
Bro.
That's gonna make or break it. Okay. But anyway.
Okay, I want to say this right. I want to ask this right now, real quick. When the movie comes out, should we have like another thing of us like reviewing the movie, do you just not want to?
I don't know. That's far in the future. We're sure as fuck doing a reaction on Destination Mark. We're sure as fuck doing a reaction on Destination Mark. But back to the topic of VidGames, the VidGames podcast. I want to open it up to where we can talk about movies. Do an episode on a movie. It could be like a Marvel thing, the MCU. We can do TV shows. I want to open it up to more media. It can be video game themed if we so wanted to, but it doesn't have to be. So we'll get more variety in there besides just video games. But video games will still be, of course, a huge pushing point in topics and whatnot for the podcast. But I'm going to divulge more into that in an update video at some point in the future. So yeah, we'll see you guys later. Tune in next time. Thanks for listening, and I would not blame you if you're already tuned out.
Yeah, because it's like 2.5 hours of us just talking about Tekken.